Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? It's Monday morning. You know how we're going to kick things off. We're going to talk about the brands that help make this podcast possible. We're going to do it briefly, succinctly, then we're going to move on with our day. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Kalo, the makers of the original silicone ring. They have mastered comfort, functionality, and style. I wore this ring for at least 5 years of my marriage, if not more than that, because I had a platinum wedding band that I was worried about either losing or getting scuffed up anytime that I would work out, specifically from the knurling of a barbell. So I first saw Kalo rings in the CrossFit world, and it took over rapidly for anybody who was wearing jewelry on their fingers because, well, they're awesome, and they work, and you don't have to worry about your finger or your ring. They're designed to be worn during all of your everyday activities. It's the perfect alternative and upgrade for those of you who live an active lifestyle. And listeners are going to get 20% off at kalo.com/clearedhot. Kalo is an active lifestyle company, and it stands for quality, athletics, love, and outdoors. Kalo rings are designed to keep you safe from ring avulsion by breaking after exceeding a certain amount of pressure. If you want to have a little fun, go to Google and just put in ring avulsion. That can be really helpful for firefighters, police, service members, mechanics, athletes, outdoor enthusiasts, travelers, military personnel, and a lot more. So you can still show your commitment to your spouse and your family during all your everyday activities, and you can customize your Kalo ring with a meaningful phrase or date on the inside. Head over to kalo.com/clearedhot to get 20% off your purchase today. That is kalo.com/clearedhot, and the 20% off discount will automatically be applied at checkout. This episode is also brought to you by Allform, the makers of ridiculously comfortable furniture. If you've listened to the podcast, you've probably heard me talk about my Helix mattresses that I have at the house. Well, Helix has a sister company, and guess what? They make sofas. Guess what it's called? You guessed correctly, Allform. It's the easiest way you can customize a sofa using premium materials and at a fraction of the cost of traditional stores. You get to pick your fabric, which is spill, stain, and scratch resistant, the sofa color, the color of the legs, the sofa size, and the shape to make sure it's perfect for you and your home. They've got armchairs and love seats all the way up to an 8-seat sectional, so there's something for everybody. And you can always start small and buy more seats later on if you want to add to what you originally purchased. They're delivered directly to your home with fast, free shipping. In the past, if you wanted to order a sofa, it could take weeks or even months to arrive, and you would need somebody to assemble it for you at your house. Allform just takes 3 to 7 days to arrive in the mail, and you can assemble it yourself in a few minutes. No tools needed. I think it took me about 20. Couldn't have been easier. I have, I believe, the 5-chair sectional, and let me just tell you, it is one of the most comfortable pieces of furniture I've ever owned. I'm laying on that thing as often as humanly possible. If getting a sofa without trying it sounds a little risky, you don't need to worry. You get 100 days to decide if you want to keep it. That's more than 3 months. And if you don't love it, they'll pick it up for free and give you a full refund. They even offer a forever warranty, which means literally forever. So if you're looking for the perfect sofa, check out allform.com/clearedhot. And Allform is offering 20% off all orders for the listeners at allform.com/clearedhot. This episode is also brought to you by Magic Spoon, my favorite cereal on planet Earth. I can't say it's the best in the galaxy because I don't know, I haven't explored it to its lengths, but I love cereal. If you love cereal but you don't like what's in traditional cereal, then you need to check out Magic Spoon. If you're trying to cut down on carbs and sugar and unhealthy food, well, I have a solution when you get the munchies. If cereal is just your go-to snack jam, then consider Magic Spoon. 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. That is only 140 calories per serving. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free. And you can build your own box or get a variety of pack, which is available with flavors like cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, and cinnamon. And don't be afraid to mix and match on your own. I highly recommend trying cocoa and blueberry. Yes, it's as good as it actually sounds. If you want to upgrade your cereal game, go to magicspoon.com/clearedhot to grab your delicious cereal and try it today. And be sure to use the promo code ClearedHot at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it is backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/clearedhot and use the promo code ClearedHot to save $5 off. Last but not least, this episode is brought to you by Athletic Greens. the single most comprehensive daily nutritional beverage that I've ever tried. This is my nutritional insurance, and it couldn't be easier. It's delicious when I put it into a smoothie. I've actually had it with just water. It's not bad at all, but this is something that I've added to my day that takes literally no thought and is covering my bases from a nutritional perspective. One tasty scoop of Athletic Greens contains 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients, including a multivitamin, multi-mineral, probiotic, green superfood blend, and more. They all work together to fill the nutritional gaps in your diet, increase energy and focus, aid with digestion, and support a healthy immune system, all without the need to take multiple products. There's plenty of stressors in life that make it difficult to maintain effective nutritional habits and give our bodies the nutrients that we need to thrive and survive. Schedules, sleep, exercise, stress, or simply not eating enough of the right foods. It's so simple to add Athletic Greens to your routine and cover all of those bases. Right now, Athletic Greens is doubling down on supporting your immune system as well. They're offering the audience a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase if you visit my link today. You'll basically never have to buy vitamin D again. So whether you're looking for peak performance or better health, covering your bases with Athletic Greens makes investing in your energy, immunity, and gut health each day super simple, tasty, and very efficient. Visit athleticgreens.com/clearedhot and join health experts, athletes, and health-conscious go-getters around the world who make a daily commitment to their health every day. Again, athleticgreens.com/clearedhot and get your free year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs today. That's all on the business side of the house. Shall we get into the guest today? I think we shall. Today, I am joined again by good friend Sean Evangelista, who is the founder, owner, operator of 30 Seconds Out. Now, before he became an apparel titan and mogul, he served in the military. He and I actually served together. We deployed together more than once. He was actually standing right next to me the night that I got my Enemy Marksmanship Award. So we have a pretty rich history together. I love his attitude and mentality when it comes to business and life in general. And let's just get into this. Episode number 190 with Sean Evangelista. Enjoy.
Okay, got the red smoke. Gun run, north and south, west of the smoke, west of the smoke. Okay, copy, west of the smoke. I'm looking at danger close now. Come on with it, baby, give it to me, I need it. Get cleared hot. Copy, cleared hot.
He's out of his goddamn mind. I love him, though. One of my favorite people. See, I wasn't joking. It's a fist away.
Triple S?
Yeah. Just fist this microphone the whole
Dude,
time.
super talented.
Triple?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, he's a talented guy.
I think he actually may be the most technically proficient SEAL that I've ever worked with.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like a broad range.
Yeah.
Like if it has engines, he gets it. Ropes, yep. Jumping, yep.
Yeah.
lower.
Anything with a canopy, you can enter a motocross race and do pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember his
climbing?
Truck?
No
you remember
problem.
his truck though from Virginia Beach, the shaggin' wagon, the lowered thing on the airbag?
Yeah. He just had it almost like he almost just did it just to piss everybody off every time he drove in with it. That's what
Am
it
I
seemed like.
wrong remembering there was purple flames on that thing?
No, I don't think so. It was tricked out. Like you could drive down anywhere in LA with that thing and it would be right at home.
It would, but I swear there was like vinyl purple flames coming down the side of it.
There might have been.
It was this shaggin' wagon for sure.
Oh yeah, totally.
All right, I got to find the question or the topic that you texted me because it was a good one.
No, it's basically like where's the line if you're a.
Oh, I'm going to read it right now. You ready?
Yeah.
This is Sean's question. Where do we draw the line with sharing experiences from special operation? Where is the line? What's too much info and what just feeds our ego? What value can we provide from our experiences to others without giving away the farm? Jesus, dude, there's like 3 hours right there. Where's the line? Let's start there.
Okay, so the line, I would say the most obvious line is we've already crossed it. Me and you have crossed the line.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so let's go a step back.
A line.
Let's go a step back,
Okay.
though. So what are the goods? Like if we had to define the special sauce of what we used to do, I would say it's not in the selection process. This is my opinion. You let me know what you think of this. So it's not in the selection process, specifically buds, and then either further refinement into green team, which is I would describe as being more skill-based than physical-based.
Yeah.
The TTPs, the tactics, techniques, procedures, the actual mechanics of how things happen, I am going to call that the goods. It's not necessarily the people, because we worked with some fucktards, right? Some people might call us that name. I know for a fact they call me that name behind my back and also to my face, right? So I could teach a monkey to do everything that we did. Maybe not use all the stuff that we use, but like how to move. If I had a troop of monkeys, it'd be pretty close, right?
Right.
So it's not the people, it's not the selection. I think it's those TTPs. I'm very cautious when it comes to ever releasing the goods. Actually, I don't think I ever have. I'll always try to go as far away from TTPs as possible. And also, I have the benefit of being totally dated, you know?
Yeah, no, it's funny you mentioned that because I was just writing some notes down, kind of the week leading up to this where I came up. And one of the lines was exactly what you said. And a good analogy would be, I'm a pro NHL player. I come out, or a pro football player. I come out and I said, hey, I'm Joe Simpson. I'm super NFL guy. And here's the playbook of every season that I ever played in the NFL. And you put it online for free download.
And also probably the next 48 months worth as well, because it'll take a while for it to change.
Some forecasting of like, and maybe an audio of what you've heard them talking about of the upcoming season and the movements of players and, what they're looking at, what strategy they're looking at. That is for sure the hard line.
So that's the goods.
Those are the goods that I think need to be protected.
Okay, what line did we cross?
The line that we crossed was doing the job that we did, and then now we're in the public and people know that we did that type of job. Whereas
they don't know what we did.
I mean, dude,
because
right?
Guys like me didn't do shit. Guys like you,
whatever, dude, whatever. I mean, so basically, if you were to be a purist would say, you guys have crossed the line. If you come out of that job and you have any sort of, if you're on a screen, like you're on a screen.
Yeah. Or we could say book as well.
Oh yeah, totally.
Any medium that is consumer.
The line has been crossed. You've crossed the line. And so it's like, what's that movie where the guy goes out there, they kill one of the security guards and then, in Heat. And then he's like, why did they kill the rest of the security guards? Because he's like, they're already brought up on a murder one. Why leave witnesses? Right? So like, I think some mentalities, once they cross the line, it's like just fill it up with jet fuel and let's go to the moon. And some mentalities go, you know what? Maybe I've crossed the first line, and I know there's a couple more lines I don't want to cross, and I have a couple lines that I won't cross for sure. And
Same here.
I can identify those immediately.
Same. Like we just talked about, one for me is a hard stop at any TTPs.
Yeah.
Or talking about anything that is not searchable by Google readily.
Yeah, there's a black web, I guess, so to speak, version of that, and that is basically sponsored by the U.S. government, and that is contract work where guys take our experience. They may not be on the screen anywhere, but they're going around the world making a pretty good income, tax-free, teaching the exact TTPs, tactics, training, techniques, and procedures of how we do stuff overseas to whoever pays.
Yeah.
And that's a line.
That is a line I will not cross.
I didn't go down that road. I'm like, nope. I've thought about it, and I've gotten into situations where I'm like, man, I could just pull that trigger. You just push the button, and you could go and do it.
It'd be the easy button for cash.
It's an easy button. That was easy. You can go do it.
Yeah.
But that's just something I didn't want to do. And if I didn't know a lot, I think if you don't know a lot, I think you're more apt to push the button because you don't even know what you don't know. But if you know a lot and you have a lot of experience, you're like, man, I'm sitting on a lot of information here, and I don't want to be in an environment where I'm going to be prompted for someone to pull that out of me, right?
Yeah.
And so avoiding putting yourself in those situations is a good line. And some guys are in different financial situations, and some guys just don't give a fuck, I think. And they'll go, hey, I'm getting a paycheck. They look at that sort of thing. Their line is, I'm putting food on the table for my family right now until I can figure something else out. Because when you spend a career doing anything, any one thing, and you leave it, unless you have a family business that you grew up in, dad's like, come back to the farm or come back to the shop. I got a spot for you. You're going to take the company over. That's an awesome position to be in.
Farm might not be a good analogy in the modern era. That shit's hurting.
Oh yeah, totally right. But if you don't have that, you're the quickest thing that you can do sometimes, the easy answer and for lack of a better term, the easy money is doing what you know, but just in a different venue. And then there are compromises and lines involved in that process.
I always viewed the contracting world, I actually never really looked at it from what you are describing, but I agree with what you're saying. For me, the issue was, if I'm going to stop doing what I'm doing in the military, let's think about the things that we did and all the resources we had if something were to go wrong. Not that we had like a phone to pick up and call 911, but if you could get a "come help me" message back, shit's coming.
Yeah.
Everything you can have, probably ground, probably air, everything in between. And if you're near the ocean, probably a submarine. But contracting world, ooh,
You're out there.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So to me, I viewed it as, is the money worth the risk? Because it's not like it's an order of magnitude greater than what we were making in the military. I mean, it's a good paying job. By the time you hit maybe 6, 7, 8, or 9 on the enlisted side of the house, you're creeping up on 6 figures for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I think doing the work, you're trying, like, especially most guys at that point will have a family, right? If they haven't already gotten divorced or they're not going through a divorce and the family stayed together, I don't know, what would you say that's 10% of the guys in our community?
I can say,
Maybe
I think it's
20?
like 3 dudes.
It's not.
It's like 3 guys.
Yeah, it's like not many people at all.
Yeah.
So you get out, and if you still have your family intact, you don't want to take a pay cut. You want to keep the same lifestyle. You're still in the same house, probably, right? So you want to maintain that for your family. You don't want to have this big financial speed bump. So then all of a sudden the lines are in front of you. You're like, okay, where am I going to cross here? You know, somebody from Hollywood, and this never happened to me, but, you know, if someone has a connection in Hollywood, hey, come out, we need a technical advisor. Some guys are going to like, what does it pay? And they tell them, and they're like, I got to put food on the table, and they go and they do it.
So I can actually speak on the technical advisor side of the house because I've done it a few times very briefly.
Okay.
It's really easy to maintain the line on TTPs, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, they're trying to balance entertainment and authenticity. And you don't have to show them how to do anything high speed at all.
Yeah, because knowing there's commandos that have guns that go into rooms and fight bad guys is not a mystery in the world.
At all. So it's like, hey, guys, go in that door.
Yeah.
That looks great.
Yeah. Nailed it.
Next. Next scene. You know what I mean? There's ways to do it. And I've been there where they will ask about, it was more in the writing process. You know, the writers would say, well, how would you guys end up at this building? It's like, that's not important for what it is that you're shooting. Let's talk about making sure they're in the right uniform. You know, like to get them in the right helmet. Like that's
like that question you just said right there. The hackles went up because how did you get here? How did you know what you know? You're like, oh no.
But honestly,
I'm not covering that.
But you don't. But you can also very casually just take a step to the side and be like, you know what? That actually doesn't matter for this scene because we're not covering that at all. Yeah. What we should talk about is, you know, you said that you want these guys to breach this door. And you have him wearing a scuba tank and flippers, so we should probably address that before. You know, it's actually it's easy, and I actually was glad that I was there in the times that I did do technical advising because let's say they're going to slap a trident on something, which is common, shall we say, in the modern era. If they don't have somebody who is there who is willing to hold that line, guess who they're going to get? Somebody who doesn't give a fuck.
Right.
Or may not know and is going to bullshit their way through it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And then it's just going to be a fuck show.
I think there's been some I think some of the guys that have gone to Hollywood have definitely a little bit full of shit, I would say. A little,
I'd use a different word than little, but you know. So let's go back because I have a question for you though. The line of being in the public, even the public awareness. Why did you want to become a team guy?
So I think both of us, if you look back at the era when we decided, hey, this is the thing I want to do.
Yep.
It kind of comes full circle. It comes back to reading the books of the guys. Like, look at the guys
that started. Those guys crossed the line you're talking about.
I'm talking about the founders, dude. Beckwith.
I know.
You know, Marchenko.
Men with Green Faces.
Oh, Men with Green. Who didn't read Men with Green Faces? You read those books, you're like, immediately, I am doing this.
But they crossed the same line that
exactly,
you and I did.
Exactly.
So that line, it cuts both ways. Because if everybody came out and never said shit and nobody knew who the SEALs were, how the fuck would we get the next generation?
You have to have recruiting. You're not going to recruit talent if no one knows you're there.
First off, anybody listening to this, don't ever listen to what recruiters tell you. All right?
Yeah, totally. Recruiters are salespeople that have commissions and they work on quotas and they're trying to push you into the hot thing of the month. They're trying to sell you on the item of the month.
Dude, when I went through boot camp, they still played the VHS tape before they said who wants to take this screening test to be a frogman. So I think we need more than just the military recruiting because they don't fucking know.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's but again, it's that balance. So it cuts both ways. I once I got a hold of like Men with Green Faces and Rogue Warrior, which I mistakenly thought was nonfiction, but
Yes.
found out rapidly that okay, yeah, this is definitely made up. However, I'm going to try to live this dream life that I've read of. Insatiable desire, and it hooked our generation.
Oh yeah, totally.
So
the motivation there wasn't we didn't have we didn't even know there was no social media back then. There was barely an internet, you know, that people were using. Yeah, they were, but it just basically was non-existent, right? So we did it because of, I think there could be more of an issue with extrinsic motivation as opposed to intrinsic motivation when we went in. I just wanted to go and see if I could make it and go for it. And I remember being in high school and people were like, dude, what are you going to do when you graduate? You going to college? I'm like, no, man, I'm going to go to the Buds. And no one knew what it was.
Yeah.
People didn't even, they're like, what? This is like a scuba diver? And I'm like, yeah, basically it's a scuba diver, right? Yeah. And
how do I end this conversation the quickest?
Because to know what we knew, we were reading like, you know, the Marchenko books and Beckwith's book, Delta, and like, you know, you're reading about all the guys in Vietnam. And so you invariably had to basically be intrinsically motivated because you know getting through it, if you make it, no one's going to know. You're not going to post it. Right.
I like people
get your
showing
ego
up to
stroked.
Buds though, extrinsically motivated.
Oh yeah, you probably
as an instructor, it's like yes.
Well, they'll probably fall apart. I would say a lot quicker than an intrinsically motivated person over time.
Well, here's the thing, and this I really am thankful that I went back and spent time as a Buds instructor. And all phases have to augment first phase because of the Hell Week shift. Which for people listening is, I think, when I went through was the 5th week. I think they may have moved it around a little bit.
When we did it.
So first phase is 10 weeks where you learn nothing except for how to paddle a boat, run with a log on your head, flutter kicks, get wet and sandy, push-ups, pull-ups. Am I missing anything else that we teach the students in 10 weeks?
And failing inspections all the time.
Failing inspections, yeah. Mandatory.
Just trumped up charges all day long and all night long. Just trumped up charges.
Yeah, and you just have a court-appointed prosecutor to defend you, and you lose every time. So point being, it's a grind, which it's designed to be. The 5th week of that is Hell Week. Starts on a Sunday evening, ends on a Friday afternoon, a couple hours of sleep on Wednesday. That's actually the only portion of training where it's 24/7. I've been amazed by people who have asked me about Buds, like, how do you do that every day, all day? I'm like, actually, it's like 5 to 4 most days. And weekends, I'm like just off crushing pasta up in Coronado or having fun. And they're like, what? I thought this was supposed to be hard training. I'm like, no, don't get me wrong. It was hard, but like also the instructors want their lives too.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
Hell Week, though, Sunday to Friday, it's 12-hour shifts with a little bit of an overlap. So I got to go and see first phase. And so I was there late 06, 07, left in 08. So the social media wave had pretty much hit. The internet was what it was.
Okay.
Interesting. We were aware of, you know, websites that almost to the day would list schedules of what you could probably expect in Buds. Evolutions in Hell Week.
Right.
What they are, what to expect.
Yeah.
Attrition rate, identical. The first day of first phase, there's a row of green helmets every class.
Do you think the access to that information?
I think it hurts them.
You think it hurts them? Doesn't help?
No,
because the numbers haven't really improved.
Well, I look back when we were going through Hell Week, or when I was. What class were you?
193.
God damn, you're old as hell. 212, my class, hardest Buds class ever is what is written down in the annals of history. It's fine. So, starting Hell Week, there was, you know, maybe 1 or 2 dudes who were rollback from like Tuesday who were going to start with us. And so they could give us a little bit of gouge.
Right.
Like, hey, guys, we're going to do this thing called Steel Pier. And it sucks.
Yeah.
But that's as far as I made it. Then I got rolled. So you start on Sunday with a few hours of laying in the ocean, because why not start something that way? And then you go do rock portage, right? Like the first evolution. And now that I look back on this, how they get the risk assessment signed off to do rock portage is insane. Watching it as an instructor, you're sitting there the whole time like, oh my God, they're going to die.
Yeah.
Send them out again.
Yeah, there's been some heavy casualties.
Oh my God, but nobody's died, which absolutely blows
No deaths?
No deaths that I know of.
That's surprising.
The rocks out front of the Hotel del Coronado, wintertime class, smashing waves, send the fleet.
Yeah.
This is like one of the first evolutions. But I remember when I went through Hell Week, I didn't know what to expect. So I wasn't worrying about the future. I didn't know that I'm on Sunday evening and that Wednesday I still need to mentally prepare myself for 3 evolutions. Then I actually think it provides the student more opportunity to think way more about what's still coming and totally open the trap door on their unwillingness to tolerate what's in the now.
I think it helps guys to know someone. If they know someone, they were like, let's say, friends or acquaintances before their friend went through ahead of them, and their friend makes it. It's kind of like when Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, right? Once he broke it,
once it's possible,
then it just started stacking up. Then people started breaking it right and left. But someone had to do it first, so other people mentally would know that it was possible, and their bodies would react and make it possible.
Yeah.
And so the mental aspect of that is, I think, one of the pieces where they say, Buds is 90% mental, which I actually don't agree with. For me, I think
it's extremely physical.
It's very, very physical.
But there's a mental component.
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody who says Buds is 90% mental, I want to know, A, what class and what online college did you go through that? Because I couldn't fucking walk straight for a year.
Yeah.
You've never seen somebody in the the med check and Hell Week doing everything you can just to not allow pieces of skin to touch
other skin. Yeah, totally.
Which, spoiler alert, is not mental. It hurts.
Yeah.
But we would have talks about that as an instructor staff. Like, is this a good thing or a bad thing? And then we would kick it right back to the attrition rate, and it just hasn't changed, man. They did that whole prep program now, which I think is maybe 14 weeks.
Right.
Like, my understanding is now it's when you go to boot camp, they'll put together like an SO/SWIC/EOD/diver boot camp division. You train together, graduate together, go across some street somewhere up in Great Lakes, and you start the pre-training pipeline.
Right.
The attrition rate is still the same in the program.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
but
I'll have students.
They're trying to increase it and increase, attract better talent. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know if talent's the right word, but attract the right person who can make it.
If they were looking for talent and screening for that, I can speak honestly that I wouldn't be sitting here.
Right.
You were a talented individual, but
yeah. So like those guys that are the you think it hurt the extrinsically motivated, they get out there and they have in their head like, I think people are going to know immediately if I do this. Whereas when we made it through, you had to call people on a phone that was on the wall, and you said, "Hey, Mom, I made it. I actually made it." And then you had to wait your turn
after they gave you your pizza and Gatorade.
Yeah, totally. And they told you couldn't leave. Yeah, so it was like your mom and your parents knew. Maybe you called one of your friends from back where you came from, and that was kind of it. There was no.
One of these days, we'll get like an IG selfie in like Hell Week, but like, boom, under the boats.
That would be a good one. I'd want to be there when that happened. Actually, it'd be fun to watch.
I was there. They had already started bouncing students for social media posts when I was there.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it was very good, and they were weird ones. Like dudes shirtless UDT shorts with a UDT knife, like in the barracks, just like, and they're like, yeah, come on in.
Which is kind of one of that reminds me of it's kind of one of the points. So the books we read about Vietnam, what was okay about those books, right? In my mind, what was okay about them was timing. So let's say those guys
later.
Yeah, 1968, they're out there, Rungsat Special Zone, Mekong Delta, they're getting after it. And you read the book, the book comes out 15 years later or something like that, or 20 years later.
Yep.
The timing, those tactics are basically kind of gone.
Yeah.
The enemy's looks nothing like it was then. So basically everything's been diluted. So then it becomes more okay to release that information. Whereas if you compress time and you're like, I wasn't on hop last week, and now you come out with a white paper on it, and you
or like a book comes out within 12 months of a very significant operation.
Let's think about timing there. So I think almost in a way you could say you could write about almost any military operation ever. It just depends on the timing of it, of when it comes out, and the specific events inside there. Some things should never be released, right?
But you can talk about events
that's
smartly
few
too.
and far between. Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
you can for sure. That's few and far between. So yeah, the timing aspect, the recruitment aspect of like you guys are reading it. That's how we got in.
Yep.
And then I'm sure when Navy SEALs the movie came out with Charlie Sheen and all that, I'm sure
seen it 5,000 times.
I started watching it. I was already like on that pipeline, and that movie came out, and it blew my mind. I'm like, there's no way. Like this movie's coming about this thing that no one knows about, like unless you've read the books, right?
Now, what are your thoughts on this? After watching that movie legitimately thousands of times, spent 17 years in, I feel like the most accurate portion of that movie is Charlie Sheen face down drunk in the ocean.
Yeah, yep. I was thinking of that. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Yep.
That everything beyond that in that movie is trash, like hot trash.
Yeah.
But that part, when I saw that, especially later in the career, because I maybe watched it a few times when I was in, I'm like, yeah.
Even driving over the bridge in VB and like timing the pylons, like if I were to jump, I would jump. Now, I don't know how would he know? Like you need a stunt coordinator. How would you know
Seriously.
super drunk to jump off that?
And
wind?
it would not be awesome if you mistimed that thing. Dong! Went off the side of that, let alone did that off the Coronado Bridge.
Yeah,
no
totally.
thanks.
Totally.
No, I agree with you though, man. It's people hit me up a lot to write a book.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's people are probably tired of hearing me say this, but I don't feel like I did anything original or unique, right? It's not like I spearheaded a fucking thing and didn't do anything other than repeat or continue what other people had started. But if I did write a book, regardless of the title, if I wrote a cookbook, it would go in like the military Navy SEAL fucking bank,
can't avoid it, right.
bank of bookshelves.
Right.
And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I started going into bookstores and looking at the number of SEAL-related books that were written probably pre 9/11, actually. And it would be a very small section.
Yeah, totally.
And then you watch it incrementally expand beyond that. And, I have issues with some of the authors, and then I have issues with some of the content, and sometimes the combination of the two. I mean, I won't get into specifics. And then there are people who I think who've done a great job writing about military stuff. Jocko's an example. His books on leadership, I think, does a really good job. He didn't create those lessons. They were passed on to us, but he does a good job of saying this is what we were taught. This is what it looked like at a very broad level overseas, and then this is how you can apply it to business. Like,
Sure.
huge value in that, but I don't know if there's any value in another. There I was in the warm desert sand,
No, yeah.
with my schmuck over my face.
The story's been told. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I can't do it.
yeah.
But now I'm thinking maybe we should do a SEAL cookbook. Yeah, you're in on this. I just had this idea, and you're in the room, so you and I are doing it. Your name's going up first. I'll do my font will be like micro, but it'll be like Sean
All right,
Evangelista.
the first thing we'll do is we'll identify our lines we're not going to cross. His line I'm not fucking crossing, dude. The other line, so you got the TTP line. The other line that is as hard for me as the TTP line, it's at the same level for me, is if you have a business or a brand and you make money from that, you're taking money from it. It's not a pure nonprofit. Associating the deaths of guys that you knew or didn't know, whether they were in your same branch of service or another branch of service. But let's say I own a t-shirt company and I'm selling.
Is this hypothetical? Because you do.
Yeah, no, I do own a t-shirt company, but the line that line there is associating the deaths of people in combat with your brand. And so you can, and it is done really poorly, and I see it. And I've said no to that more times than I can count. I'll have somebody email me, people that I know, and say, "Hey, we want you to support this thing. Will you push this out there?" And I basically say, "Hey, call me on the phone. I need to talk to you about this because it's very touchy."
Yeah,
I don't want,
and important to you.
It's really important, and I don't want people to think, or the families or the close friends to think that because I have a small audience, right? Like I have a very small audience in my little brand, 30 Seconds Out. But I said I don't want people to associate me with pushing a product and using the deaths of guys as sort of fuel to propel my brand.
Are you talking about people who make shirts with specific individuals' names on them, or give me an idea or a broad concept?
Just let's say probably the biggest offense is just throwing something up there without number one, permission from the immediate family, and then like the secondary family, the parents, the uncles, however the family was structured, who was closest to these people. Did you get in face like no bullshit permission? And even more important than that, did they ask you to do this? Because if you're going around calling families, "Hey, it's the anniversary, I want to post a picture up," to me, that line right there is fucked up.
Yeah.
And so I've been asked to post it. "Hey, you post this. This is an important date." And so what I tell them on the phone is, I said, "There's nothing more important than our guys that we lost, right?" And so but I won't post that there because I sell T-shirts on the internet and I make money from that. And
Yep.
so I'm not going to put specific guys up there and associate my brand with the deaths of guys. I've seen brands like your standard T-shirt vet lifestyle brand posting pictures and stories of guys that I know for a fact they did not know. They're drafting off of the incredible things that guy did in combat and what happened to them and the missions they had been on in their life and basically their combat life story. They're drafting off that to draw customers. And
You can wrap a
that
lot
line
of-
right there is like, I mean, that's
Yeah.
it. Kind of maybe invokes maybe a little bit of feeling like maybe it's time to get violent with those people.
You can wrap a lot of bullshit in the American flag.
Oh yeah,
The veteran world, I'm super proud to be a part of it. And at the same time, I've said this many times, I think the biggest threat to the veteran community are veterans themselves.
yeah.
Because of stuff like that. Or even like the books. I have pulled open books and read like excerpts from chapters where they're talking about being somewhere, and it's like, really? Were you there?
Right. Yeah.
Or the association. It's an easy thing to do to tug on people's heartstrings with that one. Yeah, I share that same line as well. I try to be very, very fucking cautious with anything that I put up about that. I actually, maybe too much, try to distance myself, not incredibly far from the veterans community, but a step or two outside of like the nucleus of that.
The one thing on that I feel good about doing is supporting organizations. You just support an organization. Like, you support like Eagles and Angels, Tom out in Pinehurst, North Carolina, runs a great organization there. The Navy SEAL Foundation, the Night Stalker Association, things like that. Just support the organization. But putting individual guys up there, that jumps way over a fence in my line, right into the personal aspect. And just imagine a family member that doesn't know this is happening, scrolling through and then just seeing their loved one.
Or imagine
Being
another
pimped by a lifestyle fucking T-shirt company. Are you fucking kidding me?
Or imagine a different family member, maybe from a different branch of service, who had that catastrophic loss from their family, but yet for whatever reason, their family member is never recognized in that way.
Right.
Because if you're going to choose where the attention is directed, that's why I do the same thing. Like you gave two great examples, the Eagles and Angels, and then the Navy SEAL Foundation. They have people who can make sure that it is spread out evenly. And I think it's the easier thing and more responsible thing to do to point it at something like that.
Right.
Because otherwise, how are we supposed to pick and choose who we highlight? I think they should all be highlighted and celebrated equally.
Yeah,
Not that that's possible, but I think we should be trying to.
Well, but in this, nowadays, if you go back and you were to look at a calendar and you go, okay, on this day, who died in combat? Every single day, basically, you would be doing is posting pictures of dead guys every single day, just about. I don't know if there's a day in a 365-day calendar where we didn't lose somebody.
Are you talking about the military in general?
Let's just say post 9/11.
But entire military?
Yeah.
There's no way that there hasn't been a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you pick and choose? So I think just say, hey, we support these organizations, and they are in contact with the families. They give the money to the families where it's needed, and they disperse it. We're using our exposure for something positive and something good, and not kind of highlighting these guys and using them to build our brand up. And that's for me, that's the line there is like super clear to me. Like that's just maybe for some people, everybody's line's different, but I think things like the TTPs and things like that right there, I think
That's a hard line.
It's pretty universal. That's a pretty universal line there.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough balance because, well, actually for you, I think you do it quite tactfully. I mean, you have a commando-inspired brand
Yeah.
with, I wish I had come up with some of the stickers you did. Is it, Syria is the fishing one, right?
No, that's the Somalia.
Surfing. Damn it.
Yeah,
Damn it.
the Somalia fishing.
God damn it. Or the
Iraq safari.
Safari, like that image of son of
funny.
a bitch. Yeah, I'm not creative at all. You have come up with some
No,
good shit.
you just put your mind towards something that's like you're creative on the podcast. If you put your mind creative towards design, you would figure it out. Like, right.
I'm not so sure, man. I could send you some drawings that I've done in my life. They look like stick figures. That's as far as I've ever gotten.
Yeah.
I mean, so for yourself, how do you balance? Obviously, you don't have those individuals, but how do you try to draw from the world that you grew up in as an adult man to what you're doing now?
So what I think the farther, like for every year we get out, let's say, you know, what you get out year 1, year 2, you're a little bit different, right? You're starting to, I guess, say we were probably all sort of coming down a little bit. Like we're coming down off the mountain. We're coming off the stuff a little bit, right? Yep. And so you start living around different people. You're not every day. You're not going in and getting after it. And so you begin changing. And so
you begin coming normal.
Yeah, I think so. Like you begin to like kind of I also think your horizons start to broaden a little bit if you educate yourself. It's very easy to stay. I think with any you could be in law enforcement. You could be a surgeon. If you have those intense experiences, you can ruminate that for the rest of your life. But if you start, you know, educating yourself, going, you know, how do other people think? Because I start saying things in a crowd and people are like just staring at me, and I thought it was funny. Right. So
it probably was hilarious.
To the right people. Right. So you're like, okay, I need to get my EQ up. I'm going to pump my EQ up here a little bit and figure out how to, you know, maybe blend in a little bit better here. And that way, so I can be taken a little bit more seriously and not like he's crazy. He was in the war for a long time. Right. Because you don't want that.
Because that's always still going to be there. You just want to be able to hide.
Yeah. So yeah, totally. So like every year that goes by that you're not in that anymore, you're not in like a team environment. And this could be, you know, law enforcement. This could be any intense thing where their lives at stake, right? Civilian world, whatever. You begin to change. And so if you're attached to like your business is going to be a reflection of you, right? It is going to reflect on you until it gets so big that you're basically sort of removed from the process and the creatives are taken over by somebody else. But initially it's you doing it. And so as you educate yourself, you get smarter and you start seeing the world maybe through a different lens, because our lens was green eyes. That's our world.
For sure.
Yeah. Everybody's bad. They're all going to probably try to shoot at us. Right. Like, I mean, literally like when coming back off, you know, just endless deployments for a decade, you come back and you see a mosque somewhere in the US and you're just watching it. Because that's how you think, right? You're watching your six, like, and so after a while though, you start to normalize a little bit, and you start to not be so in the red all the time.
Taking a wrap off, if you will.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And so, you know, this was hard for me for a couple years.
What year did you get
out? 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, this was hard for a couple years. I'm getting out, you know, like selling T-shirts and finding the lines that we talked about, not crossing those lines, right? Even though I knew I'd already crossed the line by becoming someone that is on a screen, right? So that line has been crossed, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to cross any more of these fucking lines. I was started out with the mentality that I came out with, right? So it was very military, very hardcore. It was very, I would say, Slayer. Right.
Full back dive.
Just
after full back dive.
Yeah.
Just straight through the door.
You just, I mean, right. Cause you're just, you know, just everything is Slayer. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And so
your dial was stuck on 10.
Yeah, totally. And so my dial started coming down and the brand was still over here at the Slayer concert. And so I'm like, damn, I'm like, how am I going to, and I fucking love Slayer. I'm not, you know, just still.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is,
it's fair.
Yeah.
Why would that go out of style ever?
Right. So I start changing, right? Because I'm living in a mountain town. I'm skiing. You're around different people, and like, you know, what do they say? You become the average of the 5 people you invest the most time with, which is really true. Like whether you like it or not, you're going to start becoming like people that you're around. And for better or worse. So I've tried to be selective of who I invest my time with. Based off of where I want to go in my life from now, because, you know, let's say you do 20 years in the military and let's say you live to be 80, right? It's
you still got half your life left.
It's a lot of living left, man. Like it literally is. Yeah. You have half left because you go in when you're 20 roughly. And so as I started changing, I'm like, how am I going to still try to float this vibe that I kind of created initially? And it got to the point for a while, like I was just for a couple of years, I was ready to just walk away from the brand and just say, in order for me to move on, I need to leave this behind, because I felt it was anchoring me to that mentality and that mindset. And then with that, because I do give a shit, I've also put myself within parameters. Like I'm like, okay, if I just ditch this brand, I'm not going to do contract work just because this is not something I'm going to go do. And so you have to make a living at the end of the day. I don't come for money.
Yeah.
So I have to make a living. And so trying to meld the person that you become as you separate from those experiences, I was able to figure out a way to bring the brand with me. And I almost didn't make it. I almost lopped it off multiple times. And Tamara, my fiance, is in here. She knows that because she sat there with me. And
She watched you,
and I'm just
with
like,
the hatchet, just like practice stroking.
Fuck out of here! I got to move on, because you spend your time trying to create a successful business around a mentality that you had for 20 years, but now you're developing a different mentality. And so basically what I did, kind of coming back to what you said about these kitschy designs, was like, well, how do I see the world now, right? I don't see it through nods anymore. I'm not looking through night vision anymore. I'm more. I feel like I'm more clear-eyed about what's out there. Like, what are the real threats? What are the odds of a terrorist blowing me up?
Well,
really fucking small.
And let's talk. I mean, honestly, what's the field of view for nods? Like 30 degrees per tube?
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
You know what I mean? Lift them up, and you're like,
pop
holy
those
shit!
Fuckers up, go white light. Whoa, cow! You're like, oh yeah, nice.
I can see a lot better.
So kind of coming off social media for a while really helped me as well, because you start seeing what other people are doing, and that influences your mindset and the way we process information. I'm like, man, maybe I should get back to that hardcore Slayer shit, right? Because those guys are doing it. But I'm like, no, that's not me. I'm not doing that. I'm going to keep tugging this brand in my direction. And so I decided to just go, you know what? I'm seeing the world in a more positive light now. And still, for the most part, I am. Yeah. Because inside there's just the dark dark well, dude, where it's just death metal for real, right? Yeah. And so I'm like, no, I want to be positive. Like, I want to be better for my kids. You know what I mean? Because the kids rode that wave with me for, they were there, man. Like,
fortunately, they were young.
Yeah, they were young, and so I want to become a different person. How am I going to bring this brand with me and do it? And I figured out a way to do it. It's just sort of focusing on more positive things. So what do
you talk
people
about that in the design process? Focusing on more positive things.
The design process and the way that I perceive the world. And so basically I consume audiobooks like a maniac now, because I feel like I don't know anything. And the more you read and the more podcasts you listen to and the more audiobooks you listen to, I start feeling dumber, actually.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I don't need to listen to audiobooks to know that I don't know anything. I'm positive I don't know shit.
Yeah. Like, if I was in a room with these people, I'd just be in the back corner not even talking. I'm like they're like, I'm in a room full of geniuses in here, and like I know how to kick doors in. Like, it's ridiculous. But basically going, okay, instead of going like throwing some hardcore design out there, like, we're all fucking, we don't take shit, America, fuck off.
Death
like,
before dishonor.
I'm like, if you hear the word Syria or Yemen, what do you think? Fucking conflict, right? You think of war. So I started Googling, like, what could you do there besides that? Like, what could you do in Kunar Valley besides we all shoot at each other? You go fucking heli skiing, right? And you go fucking
How bitchin'
surfing.
would it be to actually be able to do that? I would board, of course. You could ski, but
there's a contract company that is for contract over there. I looked it up, that you could, but they were very reluctant to talk about going up into the Kunar, obviously. Shocker.
Yeah.
I was just testing the waters.
There'd be some triple blacks up there.
Dude, what they say in Aspen Extreme, skiing's the easy part.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's, so we get corralled in between. If you set lines for you, man, good for you. That's good. And everyone's line is going to be a little different, but I think we have identified here, if any guys are listening to this, like, where's the line they're getting out? Like, I don't fucking know. Like, I think we've identified two very hard lines, right?
Yeah, and I would agree with you. Beyond that, they're going to have to figure out.
You have to figure it out.
Yeah, and also meet your daily life essentials. Don't auger in your family. What Evan was saying is startlingly accurate. The divorce rate, it's fucking unbelievable. Yeah. The demands of the job are the same, and I think the two are pretty tied. But yeah, it's. I think you have to have people cross those lines, though. Not the hard lines, but being. I get hit up hundreds of times a month. People asking about buds. Hey, this is what I've always wanted to do, dude. But what I will say is this: if I had access to people the way that they do now, I would use it too.
Oh,
when
completely.
I was younger.
Oh yeah, completely. And the other thing too that and this is odd. This is an odd thing that used to drive me fucking crazy. In the 2000s, right? When we were going out there, we're just rolling overseas. We're coming back. Like, the pace was awesome. If you like to do that sort of thing, right?
If you're into Slayer.
Yeah, the pace was amazing. We're just going over there, and then I remember one day like somebody had on Jersey Shore on TV, and these guys were Gym Tan Laundry. They were like mid 2000s. They're flexing, and they thought they were.
I remember that phrase GTL. Yeah,
they were like they thought they were so great and so awesome, and I'm sitting there. We had just maybe we were just flown out of Fallujah and just talked to some Marines that just lost an entire truckload full of guys, and then you flip the TV on and you're like, these guys are fucking clowns. All these people are fucking clowns. They're clown shoes, but they have a voice because they're on TV, and so it started to irk me a little bit. I'm like and then on top of that, I would look at pro sports players and with all their problems and their fucking bitching, and I'm like, people aren't really seeing what's going on out here, like what the real fucking people are doing, right? What the hardcore motherfuckers that really are badass for real are doing out here. They're dying next to each other, and no one knows about this shit.
Yeah.
And so I think there is something to be said for basically showing people what real solid, like badass fucking human beings look like and what they do. Not specifically what they do, but what
I was
are
going
they
to say that's the tough part, is showing them what they do.
What's their thought process now? Like, how do they think? What did that experience do to them? And how can those heavy experiences help other people? Because if all it was a bunch of guys dying, getting PTSD, coming home, their friends killing themselves, and there's no value that comes out of those heavy experiences, I think there's a loss there for our country. There's value there. Like, you got guys that come out that teach really good leadership things, lessons learned, and if they focus on less about beating their chest and about I did this and I was there, because I didn't do anything. Like the word I, like, you were there with a team, man.
Yeah.
Whether they were standing there next to you, there was eye in the sky. Like, it was a team effort. There was no I out there like I was out there like Rambo running around. Non-existent. And so there is a value that I think should be, there's a nectar that could be extracted from that. Leave all the details and the ego chest bumping shit. But there is value that I think is important for people to learn, because at the end of the day, we're not a private enterprise. We were funded by the U.S. taxpayers to go over there and do a job, and we were told to go do it, and that's what we did, and we did it the best of our ability. And so I think coming back with something besides a sad story with some value is important.
Even the sad story can have some value too.
Yeah,
there's
totally.
some horrifically sad shit that happens, but I totally agree with you. The nectar that you can pull out, that's actually what's important. Everything else, it's not. Again, I could teach a monkey how to do the shit that we did.
Yeah.
Which actually, how sweet would that have been to have like an orangutan and kid, like a fucking saw in one hand and like a M79. I'm talking old school Vietnam style pirate gun, of course, cut it down.
Yeah.
And would you give the orangutan nods? I almost feel like it'd be more ferocious without a helmet and nods.
I don't know. What's their vision like at night? Maybe they have a little bit better. Who
That's
knows?
what I'm saying. I just say open
Our monkey knowledge is real low right now.
seriously, but I'm saying open the door and let that fucker in, and
Right.
I think it would be amazing.
Well, they've done that with stock picking.
With what?
Stock picking. They had a monkey pick stocks, and he did like exceptionally well against professional stock pickers. No, they did. I don't know what it was like. Bobo was sitting there just pointing on a screen or something, but they did that. They had a monkey pick stocks versus some pros, and he actually did exceptionally well. You can read about it.
Now that we're talking about this, I feel like there was an experiment where they had a child throw darts that also did exceptionally well, and like beat the S&P 500. Right. They're just like winger, like they had newspaper all up against the wall, and the kids just throwing shit, and they became millionaires on paper.
So like after seeing that, and then because the pace was so, there were so many samples. You deploy, come home, deploy, come home. And you did that for like a decade, right?
You did that for a decade. I had a slight hiccup. You were there for the hiccup.
Well, you got fucking hit next to me, dude.
So I said you were there for the hiccup.
But I did have this. There was something in me that was like, man, like, fuck, dude, like, there's a world out there, and then there's our world, and they're so fucking different, right? But I think there's a lot of value that we could provide, and you feel that by me getting annoyed with like dumb fucking shows, and people, they think they're the shit, and I don't understand why. They haven't done anything, because I wanted to literally pluck those Gym Tan Laundry fucks, plop them in let's just take them over the fucking Marine compound. Like, hey, these guys are fucking badass. Hey, telling the Marines that these guys think they're sick. Here, take them out.
We'll be back in 24 hours.
Maybe those guys would have done well. Maybe they'd have fucking shit their pants, fucking, and wanted to just literally curled up in the fetal position inside a fucking Hummer. Who knows?
If I had to bet all of the money that I have, which is not a large amount, I know which one of those I would bet on.
Yeah. And so like just listening to the bullshit that was going on, like I'm like, man, there's got to be some value to come out of here. And so
I think the only way you can combat that is by having other information that has that value also accessible.
Right. So then now you need a couple of habitual line steppers like us and some other couple of guys that try to do it well,
I'm
guess.
not going to call us habitual, all right? We crossed a line. I don't feel like
line.
we looked for other ones to like two-step over.
No, we look for other ones not to cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do get the allure, though, that it tricks some people, whether it's a ridiculous 7-8 figure deal for a book. Let's do the tell-all or whatever. Like, I get it, but I do think life is about choices, and you have to suffer the consequences of your choices. So if you're going to go that path, which in our own community, I'd say broadly, I think a few people have, and the community has reacted accordingly.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Yeah.
So.
And the other thing I was sort of, and they may have it now. I've been out so long now that they may have it, but we could have done as a community, and I think other communities as well that are similar to ours, a much better job coaching guys when they get out about what's going to happen. And I do remember there one of our E9s, one of our Master Chiefs. We were in a room one day, and I think it was around 2007, and you're so in the game that you don't really see what the perception on the outside world is. And he said, guys, I want to tell you something. When this is over, when this war is over with, people are going to want to talk to you. And I didn't believe it. I was like, about what? Like, I at the time I was like, okay. And he's like, I call it touching the stone. He's like, picture a famous person. What happens when people see a famous person walk down the street? Everyone knows who that person is because of their face, right? They know it. They want to go up and they want to touch the stone. They want to interact with that person. That's what the autograph is. They want some sort of connection because...
Or the selfie in the modern era.
The selfie. There's magic. They said there's going to be a feeling like they're going to be able to glean some kind of a magic sauce from you because of the experiences that you had. And granted, our faces aren't like famous. No one walking the street is going to know who the fuck we are. But it'll be a similar thing. And I remember like really thinking about that. And that was the first time I ever heard anyone talk about the after show. Because we were so focused on executing and living and getting ready for the next thing, and how are their tactics changing and what do we got to change up? That we were in the game, we were playing the game. Almost none of us that I know of were really focused on what does the game look like from the outside and what's it going to be like after. I'm like, if I live through this, I'll worry about that shit on the back end, man. But I think a little bit more guidance for guys because you get out, especially nowadays, it's just everything's more transparent. There's guys out there that have seen their pictures posted up by some random Instagram account, have hit me up, said, hey, man, do you know this guy? I said, no, I don't, but I can hit him up and tell him to pull that picture because he's like, I don't know how my picture got out there and I don't know either. And I'm like, I don't know either, dude. And I'll hit them up in a direct message and say, hey, this is my name and could you please take that down? That picture is not supposed to be up.
Yeah, and this will be the last polite request that
you receive. And so every time have ran into that a handful of times, they've done it. They've pulled it. So it's a different world. And when guys get out now, everyone wants a story. They want to know what you know, right? And they want to have conversations. Just like we're having conversations here, and we're sharing some of what we know, which has value, and we're not crossing a line. Here.
Apparently, though, we habitually do.
Well, all right, delete fucking habitually. So they're coming out in a more challenging environment.
Yeah.
And if you look at the history of it, the guys go, oh, this guy wrote a book like in the 2000 whatever. I'm like, dude, rewind the fucking thing, right? If you take the timing aspect out of it, Beckwith wrote a book. Marcinko wrote a couple books. So it's you look at McCraven. As soon as he came out, boom, he wrote a book while he was in, right? Yeah. I think maybe one or two, and now he's on speaking tours and he's all over YouTube wearing his trident, right? And so, where's the precedent? You're going to jump on us? Well, why does McCraven get a pass? Like, why do these other guys get a pass and the enlisted guys don't? Like, someone clear this shit the fuck up, because if it's such a big fucking deal. And it is a big fucking deal. Why doesn't someone inside put something together and help guys define this shit? Because otherwise, guys get out and they got to deal with their families, and they're like, "What the fuck am I gonna do? The only skill I know is kicking fucking doors in it, and I'm running around like an orangutan, right? Like, I got to go figure something out. And so having guidance from the inside, and intelligent guidance, not you motherfuckers don't do this. Because as soon as you say that, guys are going to be like, oh, fuck you. I'm going to go make money now. Watch this. It has to be a sensible, intelligent approach, and give guys some lines where, like, here are the lines, dude, and here's what you can't do. And they may have that now. It'll be great
hope
if
so.
they
That's
did.
what I was just thinking.
If they don't fucking have that now, and anyone inside is listening to this, get the fuck on it.
Yeah.
Someone gets the fuck on it.
Here's the thing, though. You could give them that guidance when they're in and say, hey, here's the lines, but you only have repercussions on that individual while they're in.
Yeah.
When they get their smoke and signature on that DD 214, they could write down all those lines that the military wants you to hold and wipe their ass with them and throw them away.
Yeah.
And that's where, I would like to think we come from a community of people that would intrinsically want to hold that line, but, there's some orangutans in there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so I think it's more challenging nowadays because now you get out and you walk out of somewhere and someone's filming you, like, oh, that's the guy from, I've heard of this dude, or you know what I mean? Like, now everything is so transparent and there's cameras everywhere, and you can self-publish a book now, and, like, I don't know, I think I've seen an ad online. You can self-publish a book in 2 weeks or some shit. Like,
really?
Or
Jesus,
it's like crazy now because the publishing industry basically dissolved, right?
Well, I mean, make sure you bookmark that for our cookbook, Sean Evangelista. And super small writing.
You can literally
with wine pairings by Andy Stumpf.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a more challenging thing now. So I think it needs to be clearer for guys. We did have one time we had someone with us overseas at one of our bases, and he was talking to somebody, and we overheard him. And he was there. He'd worked on getting an assignment so that he could be near a unit like
the Dragon.
Ours. And so that he could get information for his book.
Oh,
he wasn't an operator. He was some, I don't know, some support dude from somewhere else in the military, unrelated to the very special operations, right? And so once we found that out, we're like, the fuck you are, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not coming over here and we're out there risking our lives, and you're gonna scrape everything we have in here for value and go out there and fucking hawk it on the street corner. Fucking eat shit.
Dude, so in 10, when I was doing a OEF deployment with Team 3, Oliver North hung out with us for a week.
Oh, that's cool.
Taking notes to write a book.
Oh.
Not as cool.
Yeah.
They put him on like a Russian MI7 and took him on target.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
I was up in an Overwatch position, and he's just down there writing about what's going on.
Okay, well, somewhere in the military...
It was
They approved that.
They were complicit with it, promoted it, and he would sit and have conversations with people in the chow hall, and I chose my distance selectively, and would just listen. It's like, you guys are you're not playing varsity fucking ball right now.
No, not at all.
Like, you don't understand where these questions are going or why they're being asked. Like, come on, guys.
The other thing, which is, it's not really a line, it's more of a slope. And that's like the slippery slope of validation. And so as human beings, we all, unless we're a sociopath or we have some other psychological condition, we do at different levels, we want some sort of validation, right? And so if I'm a guy, I did 20 years in the military and I did secret missions or whatever I call it the very special operations. Mm-hmm. It's just whatever Spec Ops is, right? And to me, it's now just a beef stew. It's the same fucking shit. It's just fucking, right? Like, you're gonna have to put your ego in check, because you're naturally going to want some validation for what you did. And if you take a 20-year block of a guy's life, basically you got out of high school, went in, or if you went to the academy or whatever, you got a couple years and doing paperwork, and then you fucking came in. And then you're like, oh, you have to take 20 years of your life and delete it. And now you have to show up, change your name, new ID card, and go, hi, I'm here to shovel dirt.
Start over.
Right. Like, okay, that's not realistic. It's not. That's why the FBI has witness protection program. They give people a stipend, and if you start over, you get an allowance to start over.
I didn't know that.
It's like, so
it's a good idea.
Yeah. So like, if you get out, you have to make ends meet. So to tell someone delete 20 years of your life, even though your family lived through it, maybe you're having some issues yourself. Like, it's just not realistic. There needs to be a realistic way to transition and take those experiences, provide value to people, and it's up to you. No one else is going to do it for you. So they can assist you in it, but keeping your ego in check and avoiding that slippery slope of validation where if you find yourself posting a picture of you in your uniform back in the war when 2004, man, like, and it's a regular thing, you're just hunting for validation. Change course, get off that path. Like, yeah, people have already seen that. We get it. You know, you carried a gun around and kicked doors in. Great. Good job. It's not that difficult, like you said. Like, it's not that amazing. I don't think it's that amazing, right? Yeah. Really. I mean, the skill set itself is not that amazing. You do anything long enough, you're going to get good at it. And so sometimes people get into that, and you're getting fed the endorphin hit every time, right? And so you keep doing it, and then you step it up, and then you step it up, and pretty soon, I think this probably happens to guys. They end up in a fucking room, and they know how they got there, but they don't want to be in that room. But now they're locked in that room.
Yeah, they're trapped though.
You're trapped in that room. Now you're there, and that's your room now. And that's your bed. You made it. Now you're there, and you're like, fuck. Once you're there, the tube's out of the toothpaste. It's not going back in the fucking tube, man.
Yeah, and they put themselves there slowly, and then they opened the door, walked through, closed it, locked it, but then slid the key back underneath the door. It's a lot. Oftentimes, I think self-induced through the escalation that you were talking about.
So then the next guy will come through, get to the door, he'll open it and slide the key back to the door for the next guy.
Yeah, of course.
And go into the room and they're like, oh, I got somebody in here with me. Yes.
Yeah, it's just a hallway of fucking doors with lost souls.
Yes. So that's a slope. And I know you felt it. Every guy that gets out that did anything significant inside, you're going to feel that a little bit.
The beauty for me is I have like 3 pictures. Right. I don't have any fucking pictures. It's perfect.
Right. Right.
I could care less.
Yeah, totally.
Did you get any negative pushback, or have you, from owning your organization from people from the old community?
No, I never have. But the thing with the very special operations community is, I'm sure it's like a lot of other organizations where probably the worst thing said you'll never hear about. So
yeah, that's true.
But no, no one's ever emailed saying, hey, this is fucking too much, dude.
Yeah.
I've never had that. And if I've done something like that, my email is evan@30secondsout.com, THIRTY. Email me and let me fucking know. And if you're just a troll, I'll probably just cuss back at you and leave you. But if you're
take a picture of your
if you're somebody that's somebody, like you've done something worthy of respect, and I'll respect your opinion, then I'll be like, okay, yeah, let me take a look at what I'm doing, because I'm absolutely not afraid to look back at what I'm doing, where I'm going, and the direction I'm taking a t-shirt brand, right? Like I want to keep heading in a good direction, because I want to look back like anything else in life. I want to look back in, basically the deathbed confession, right? I don't want to have regrets about anything I did. What maybe chances I didn't take in life, whether they were in adventures or how I made my money in my life. What did I do to make my money? I want to look back and go, I'm proud of what I did. I did something good. I made people laugh. I made some Scooby-Doo t-shirts and shit with a military combination. It's fucking funny, right? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's tough to do. And I think sometimes guys will get out and they'll see it and they're like, I'm not going anywhere near that. And I respect that. Like they'll just like total dodge, and they'll go and do something and you'll never hear from them. And I fully respect that. I'm like, dude, it takes discipline. And sometimes it doesn't take discipline. If they know exactly what they want to do, they're going to get out and do that. But it's also very hard, if not impossible, to shake where you came from. And you can tell people, don't bring it up. Don't. It's going to come up. It's really hard for it not to come up eventually.
At some point in time,
it's going to come up, because people want to know, especially people that didn't do it. People that went and did that sort of thing, they generally don't give a shit. Yeah. But people that didn't do it are curious about it, right? And so you're going to get that sort of that question asked, and then you're also going to become, and this is a negative that. Man, this is a heavy thing. I know that you get this, is you can become in a way arm candy. Hey, we want you to come to this event. So that they can go, hey, there's that guy over there is from, he was back in the day doing the thing, and like, oh, okay, cool. And having a person like that at an event, even though I don't think we're not fucking special, we're just like regular dudes, right? But you get asked a lot to go and show up at these events, and hey, sit here. We want you to sit over here and talk to these folks, right?
What they really want is your trident to show up. Speaking about our community, or people who come from our background, or your beret or fill in the blank from whatever community you come from. Yeah, it's a shiny object.
Yeah, I've said no to probably 80 to 90% of requests to go and do those things. I've said yes a couple of times for people that were close and like an organization that I believed in. I did an interview with the Navy SEAL Foundation. I felt great about that.
Yep.
Not specific. I was talking about a specific program they have within the organization. But other things like, no, I don't want to go there and be arm candy and then sit at a table all awkwardly and have rich people ask me questions about
stuff.
Specifics. I just don't want to do that because I'm not. It's so awkward and uncomfortable being there in that position. It is so fucking awkward.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's something that you have to control your time, and you have to start being a little aggressive in saying no.
At least in that aspect, you have that control because you can decline the opportunity to do so.
Sure.
And you may need to say yes to one or two just to get a little taste of what that's like, and then you can.
Then
Then the no's come a little quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. That's exactly what I did. I went to a few, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start saying no to this because, this is because you want to help, like, because you're like, hey, I'm providing. Hey, you'd be great for our fundraiser. Come on, this thing, like, yeah, totally. And then you start feeling really awkward about being there.
Yeah. No, it's grating. For sure.
Yeah, totally. And for sure it is. Yeah, definitely.
Why'd you stop doing ski patrol?
The business kept growing. My last year, my third year.
Hire an employee, God damn it.
I know I did. Well, that was it. Like I was, your ski patrol was doing
2 years ago you stopped?
Yeah, I did. I've had 2 winters off patrol. I was on patrol full time 3 years in Sun Valley, and you're 5 days a week, 9 hours a day in ski boots. Up there working, skiing, dragging people off the hill. Sometimes you're working 7 days a week if there's heavy snow loads, and you're doing control work with explosives. Then everyone comes in because it's an event. We're doing Abbey mitigation. But my final year, the business just kept growing, and it was sort of in that period where I was like, kind of starting to shuck it a little bit. Like I'm like, man, I'm becoming somebody else. I'm not Slayer combat guy anymore. Even though that'll always be a part of us. Yeah. But I'm developing. I'm developing into more of a person with a broader scope of things. I would say.
Which is the natural course of life.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
47.
Yeah, so you got a couple years on me, but I'm definitely a way different person from when I got out almost 8 years ago. And I think that's the natural course. I think it's actually a very healthy and beautiful thing.
Yeah. And so I kept getting, the business kept growing, and I kept getting hit with emails to like, bring this design back, dude. You gotta like, hey, have you thought about this? Like, and so I was like, okay, if I want to really take this business and keep it going and pull it into whatever's next. And I didn't know what it was going to look like, but I wanted to change things up a little bit, or I can keep doing ski patrol. Ski patrol is paying me $12.75 an hour.
Yeah, but you get a pass, bro.
Yeah. I think with the pass, it comes up to like in the teens an hour. Or
$12.75 an hour.
Right. Or you have a chance to take a very small thing you've built, your very small following, and kind of curtail it within these lines that I've talked about, and you could build something that's really cool, and it's hard to reproduce. Yeah. Right. Because not all businesses succeed. I've had a business that's failed, software business. I lost like $70,000. Right.
That sounds like it was fun.
It was awesome. Yeah. That was like right as I was getting out when I actually got my first desk job.
I remember this. This was like a presentation software.
Yeah. We had 2 iPad apps we launched, and we did like one of those startup competitions where you go up and you pitch your idea in front of people. We did all that. So I knew, like, I have something that's working, and it wasn't making a lot of money, but I had a lot of people asking for stuff all the time. So I said, you know what, I got to give this business a real shot. And so that's my final year. I put in my walking papers on patrol and said, hey, I got to go focus on this business right now.
Are you still in the same building? Because we were out there the first time we did a podcast. Yeah. We came out to your. What year did we go? We had a fucking awesome day of heli skiing.
And we did. I think it was
2 years ago. I'm getting it's 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay, yeah, that's about right.
The person off your left shoulder says it was 2 years ago. Okay, we're gonna go with that.
She's accurate. She knows.
So we went to the warehouse that you had there. Yeah. Where when you first started 30 Seconds Out. Where are we talking? Dinner table stuff and poly
balers? It was no bullshit. Dinner table stickers.
Yeah. That's right, because we talked about that. I finally, it only took me 3 years and about 1 million people telling me that I should do stickers, so I just launched them yesterday.
Oh no, stickers just went out last week. They're out now.
I know, now slaps
I'm just
are
kidding.
in.
No.
Stickers are out, slaps are in.
Yeah, we were in that space, and then I moved up to a unit about twice the size in the same complex.
Okay.
Just because we were just growing, and we started bringing in more T-shirts, right, instead of stickers. Stickers, you can store those. You can have a fairly large sticker business in a smaller space, but T-shirts are just bigger.
You can get like thousands of stickers
Yeah,
in a box that's like this
Right.
big. No bullshit, thousands.
Yeah, and so I really wanted to go the T-shirt route. And start, going that route just because I liked it better. And then Damon John also told me to go heavy on T-shirts.
What was his reasoning behind that?
So like we went to the way I talked to him. I think maybe we might have talked about this
Briefly,
last time.
yeah.
We went to a business conference in Miami. Tamara, my fiance, she's like went by this fishbowl at Damon John's desk. He wasn't there, right? He has his people out there, and he put a little business card in there, but we didn't have a business card. She tore off a thing and wrote down. He called me, and I started talking business with him. I'm in the patrol shack waxing my skis. And I'm sitting there talking to Damon John in the ski patrol shack. It was kind of awesome. And he basically just gave me some business advice. He says, FUBU, like, where do you think we make our margins? And I'm like, jeans or, like the FUBU jackets. Like they have those Letterman.
God, I bet they don't make shit on those.
He was like, no. He's like, I'll have a guy come up to me see me on the street, come up and be like, Damon, dude, I've got the same set of jeans on I bought 20 years ago from FUBU. And he's like, dude, that's awesome. And he's like, I bet I haven't sold that guy another pair of jeans since.
Yep.
And he's like, T-shirts are consumables. How many T-shirts do you have in your house? I'm like, I don't think I could even know. They're everywhere.
Not only do I not know, but I have some that I haven't worn in years that I refuse to get rid of.
Oh yeah, I have my bottom drawer is full of it's in my hoarder drawer. It's mostly my concert T-shirts. I got a bunch of concert T-shirts in there. The worst T-shirts you can get are fucking concerts, right? Because the concerts are churning margins, and when
because they're one-off, right? You can only get it at the concert,
or you can order them online, but it's hard to determine if those are just knockoffs or whatever. But yeah, I got my road on there. They're mostly concert T-shirts. I won't wear because they're just terrible T-shirts you bought for $35. It's just.
Yeah,
Pennywise.
and they're cranking those things out for probably $6.50.
It's funny, like where the outdoor concerts make their money is the swag,
The merch.
Yeah, the merch. That's what the merch crushes. That's where that's what keeps them going on tour. It's not the ticket sales. It's the merch. The merch is and the branding is where it's at. And so I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, it was good advice. And so that's why I decided to go down that road. And then I had to leave patrol, focus on the business, and once I went full time focusing on the business, I had to get out of my head that I'm gonna chop this thing and walk away from it and just go into the mountains, right? And
So you were
disappear.
that close.
That's pretty close, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Because you had already invested, 5 years into it at that point, though, when you were getting ready to hit that eject button?
Yeah. But because I was constantly consuming like books and specifically focusing on business because I don't fucking know what I'm doing, right? So I'm like, I need to read another business
That's the
book.
business school I went to also.
Yeah, totally. And they're all like, you got to have endurance. Grit matters more than anything. Like talent, fuck that. Like talent matters. But if you have talent and no grit, you're not going anywhere. For sure. He's like, grit will carry the day. You got to have grit. You got to ride the lows out, ride the lows. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna ride the lows. And but part of me too was I was carrying some of the whole, like when I left Virginia Beach, I wanted to basically go into the mountains and just disappear, right? Like vapor, just gone from talking to people, like just like it's isolationism, right? It's like what you want to do. You're like, I'm gonna go ski. I'm gonna go fucking skiing, and everyone just leave me the fuck alone.
Crazy unhealthy too.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the overall scheme of things.
Yeah,
I understand the desire completely. Look at the suicide rate in the pandemic from people who are in forced isolation.
Right.
Like I feel like we probably have a slightly different tolerance to stress due to the amount of times we were incrementally pushed throughout a career, and it was
a lot of inoculations.
Yeah, and over, we're talking decades. It's not like the worst situation ever. It's like even the training evolutions are like these small, razor blade cuts of more and more and more and more. So I think you might have tolerated the isolation better, but fuck, it's unhealthy, man.
I felt it over the years where I was when I stopped going to things and people would call me, and then you're basically I'm just swiping and avoiding, right? It's just.
This is like the best tool for somebody who wants to avoid, because you're like, didn't see it.
Right.
Didn't see it.
Yeah.
Oops. Like, I don't know. No, I'm sorry. I'm unavailable.
And I could definitely feel that part. Like, and I had some, I had friends say like, how are you doing, man? Like, they would say, I'm worried about you. I'm like, why would you be worried about me? Because you're fucking.
I'm fine. I live in a Unabomber shack. I talk to my doll that I made.
Totally.
It's fine.
Right. And so I'm like, okay, I need to find a healthier balance, because the path I was on was not a good one. I think we all kind of go through these phases where I get out where, I mean, I drive by a lot of the bars in town, right? I'm like, I used to sit there a lot at that bar, right? And I would, put on 20 fucking pounds and just drinking beer and just going into holes at night, right? And the whiskey comes out. And then you're like, and basically I'm like, I'm just a self-loathing, sorry sack of fucking shit. What the fuck is my problem? What am I like, I'm fully healthy. I can run all over the fucking mountains. I can ski all fucking day long. Like, why am I fucking pouting in alcohol all the time? You know what I mean? And so, and then I'm like, okay, I got to find a healthy way to keep the brand, stay within the lines, try to do something positive, and show the best respect I can for the place that cut me to who I am, like being in the teams, right? It fucking cuts you out, right? Like it chisels you out. You're in the what's that analogy? You're in the stone. The sculptor is trying to find the sculpture inside, and I think that's what they do.
I've never had that metaphor applied to me.
Well, they try to find.
It was more like a bag of trash that they threw on the ground, and they picked up some of the moldy pieces.
But it's more like, I think what they did in there was they kind of found people that could do this job. They refined you a little bit, and they chiseled away things that. It's not like there was a they. It was the experience is the they. Like the experience did
and the
that
community
to you.
as a whole as well.
Yeah, it chisels you and turns you into something different than when you came in, for sure. Depending on your experience, because they're very different experiences. A guy who comes in, does a 4-year pump, no deployment, gets out. He's very special forces, right? The guy who goes in, does 25 years, 15 combat deployments, shot 3 times. Gets out, stand next to each other. Your average person is like, they were both in the very special forces. I'm like, their experiences wasn't even close to being the same. They could even been in the same community, and it was not even the same fucking world.
For sure. Yeah, it's hard to describe that. The differences vary and how much they vary.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, for an analogy for sports, it'd be like a guy that went in, he played in the NFL. He's got a Super Bowl ring or 2. And then there was a guy who had a cup of coffee in the office, did some plays at practice, rode the bench, and he bounced, right? But they're both got the ring on. They're both Super Bowl players. The guy never stepped on the fucking field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's also tougher to balance when you do have experience, because you have a lot. And
are you talking about me or you?
Both, us. Come on.
No.
And then identifying.
You're consuming audiobooks. I do
not. And so, and then you start seeing when you're out and you have a certain amount of knowledge about what happened and who did what and all that, and you start seeing bullshit, people lying and saying they did things that they did not do. It's really hard to bite your tongue at that point.
I was going to ask you, as you were saying this, how do you handle that when you encounter it?
Okay, one of the first time I cracked on social media, I cracked because it was, oh my God. So it was the Obama extortion 17 conspiracy theory. Obama put all
that
the extortion.
That one comes back all the fucking time.
You dumb fucking assholes. No one on the extortion 17 was on the Bin Laden raid, okay? And I had to come out because these guys were and people were like, I know Obama did this and that. I'm like,
he set them up. He let them know that they were coming. I'm like, really? So Obama somehow, through some mechanism, informed some fuckwits with RPGs to be in this bush at this time to point at only this helicopter? And you're also an idiot.
And also, I remember how hard it was to get the President of the United States to do our chalk loads every night. You're like, come on, Mr. President, we're waiting for you to tell us which helicopter to get on.
Usually it took longer than we needed it to.
That guy is so far removed from who gets on what fucking helicopter and who's doing what. He has no fucking idea. He is.
I would love
for
a
the
president,
same galaxy.
I would love for a president to be asked, what is a chalk load? And they'd be like, well, I think it's in schools. There's this little thing under the chalkboard.
They would look at their PR person.
Yeah. They'd be like, don't you put the pieces of chalk on? That's where you load the chalk under the chalkboard.
So that was the first time I cracked, and I had to get on there, and there was a guy on there just going off. He talked like he knew, like he was on the inside on all of it. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck this. And I think I had a couple whiskeys in me, which is generally how it goes. I'm going to I've had a couple whiskeys. Now I'm going to tell everyone what I really think. And I just fucking laid into him in front of everybody right there on social media. And after that, it was like fucking crickets. And afterwards, I felt like, oh my God, I just crossed a major fucking line by saying those guys weren't on there. But it was so prevalent. I'm like, someone has to fucking say something here.
It comes up every year. I see it.
Because it keeps flying around and these fucking morons keep latching onto it because it's number one. The topic of conspiracy theories and people that go down that road, in my mind, is a whole nother fucking topic. But I'm like, I'm putting a stop to this because those guys are my fucking friends. And you see their fucking families are going to be seeing this.
Yeah.
And it was being pushed by some of the family members.
That is the one that I saw the most recently. A family member.
No, come on. Recently?
Within the last 6 months.
Fucker.
It never goes away. It's on, the timing of it is weird, but it certainly seems like it's on a merry-go-round. And it comes back at least once a year.
It's like a cancer that won't die.
And there is a family member that is like convinced that somehow they got read into something that you and I would have no ability to also have that same type of...
It's sad.
And here's the thing. I can imagine... I can't imagine what that type of loss does to a family, right? Fucking catastrophic. It probably untwists some wires in your head and twists them back together. So I can give a little grace and have some empathy for that. Yeah. But don't fucking get out there and act like you have some secret, like for somehow somebody mailed you the fucking nuclear launch codes.
Right.
Yeah. No, the conspiracy ones are fun because I imagine those people, like, instead of putting Pop-Tarts in the microwave, they just shove them down their tidy whities and heat them up and then eat them. Like, that's the type of person that goes down the tinfoil hat route.
The tinfoil hat questions. My question, that's the perfect time to answer a question with a question. And my first question would be, okay, let me ask you a question first. Generally, and I'm not being sarcastic, I'm not trying to say anything here. Generally, what shape do you believe the Earth is?
Yeah. Do you know how I know the Earth is not flat? Because there would be fucking tours there. Somebody would have monetized the end of the world.
You can rappel off the end of the world. Bungee jump.
You know there'd be a
New
goddamn
Zealand would be at the edge. There'd be bungee jumping in New Zealand off the end of the world.
There'd be a helicopter tour. There'd be like a calendar. There'd be a fucking Instagram page like at end of the world. Like human beings would have monetized it.
They're
at the end of the day,
totally.
like to me, I'm like, yep, that's definitely doesn't exist.
There are a lot of good TED Talks on that where you'll have and they're experts in human behavior, and they'll talk about the predispositions that someone has that would lead them down to being sort of gullible to believing things like conspiracy theories, latching on to things emotionally very quickly, then researching confirmation, and the algorithms are helping you confirm, right? If you haven't seen The Social Dilemma, if you haven't seen that movie, immediately fucking watch it.
It's on Netflix. And watch it with your kids,
The Social Dilemma.
Yeah, watch it with your kids.
Watch it with your kids.
I'll steal a phrase from Rogan because he nails this one with conspiracy theories.
Okay.
The problem with them is that occasionally they're fucking true.
And
so people have this anchor that they can put into it and be like, what about this one? You're like, okay, listen, correct. That one was proven to be correct. Aliens coming and doing whatever, or the flat earth, or the fucking extortion 17, just because this one over here was proven to be true, does not mean this pile of fuck over here.
They don't cross-pollinate at all. Not at all. No. Yeah. Yeah. And
but it's a convenient, but what about? It's like, okay, I'll give you that. I'm going to give you that. However, you're still out of your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's...
Yeah, so I came out and I'm like,
Pop-Tarts, bro.
I'm like, I can't hold it in. And I just had to lay it out there. And I'm like, stop spreading this stupid story. It's not true. I know 110% what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Those guys were not put on their Obama, and they were not on the fucking Bin Laden raid. And stop putting it out there, because there are real families behind this. And if no one is out there catching the bullshit in a way a little bit, I mean, not that we're the gatekeepers of bullshit, because it's impossible in social media because of the volume. But if you see something like that, I mean, for me, I felt like I was really close to a line, me saying something, but I would still say something. If I see someone lying about what happened with our guys out there, and they're blasting it and they're beating their chest like, I have information that very few people have had.
No, you don't.
That's how culture started, actually. Yes, I think they should be shot out of the sky publicly right out of the gates.
And I think you can do that.
Just shoot them down.
And you can still do that without giving up the goods. And you can do it at a broad level, right? You can say, hey, you could do it from this perspective. This is who I am. This is the community that I came from. I likely have better information than you ever will. And without getting into the details, like, no, that's not, you know what I mean? Like, there's ways you could do it tactfully.
Yeah.
But, you know, even with a few whiskeys, sometimes you got to slam the door in people's face.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
I'm not against that at all.
Yeah.
So when you went to, you go off ski patrol, full time, 30 seconds out. What did you change about your involvement with the company? Because you're the founder, owner, CEO, whatever title you would want to have, but you also have employees, right?
Yeah.
How many do you have at this point?
Yeah, we have two full time. Well, actually, if you count us, we're 4 full time and a part time. And so, basically, what I did was I found the first repeatable pain point that I had, and that was
what was it?
Order fulfillment.
As somebody who still does every piece of their order fulfillment, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So that was the first thing that I backed out of, which was basically when I say back out, you're backing out and you replace it with something.
Yeah, you're outsourcing it.
So boom, you hire somebody to do the thing that's repeatable. It doesn't require some special expertise from you, and they basically take that from you. But every time you do that, generally, unless you're funded, unless you go through like, you know, an angel round or, you know, you get up to the VC level or whatever, that's a whole different story. But, you know, I wasn't doing that and I didn't have access to that. So I had to take a little bit of a pay cut, and I had to take my pay, a significant portion of it, to pay that person to do that. Well, I could go, okay, now I have extra time. I better do something with that time. I better not be sitting there at the bar drinking fucking beer now that I have extra time and someone pumping out orders for me. I better create and start to build this brand. And so then I started looking, what can I do? And just continually educating yourself, doing things to help grow the brand. And all of a sudden, oh, the income picks up, right? And then you look at, well, maybe I can give this guy more hours or bring him on full-time salary or full-time part-time or full-time hourly, right? And then it does, and you read this in books that you need to do this, but the process of actually doing it is like you're experiencing it now. You're like, who am I going to hire? How are they going to show up?
So I've already got it figured out because I realized that pain point, but it's going to take time. The studio I was telling you about with the warehouse, when that is built, that will be my step away from that pain point, because I fulfill now. I live like 35 minutes south of town. It would be ridiculous to pay somebody to drive there to do that. You know what I mean? Like it's just. It would be counterproductive at this point, but I can see the sun rising on the horizon.
Yeah,
for
that's
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because it will eat some hours.
No, totally.
Yeah.
And back out of that, and then you start growing your brand, and you're generally, you're still, you know, I think you're always kind of flying with blinders on a little bit because you're trying things, you're experimenting. Technology is changing so fast that listening to advice from marketing people from 5 years ago is a bad idea generally. There could be some good ideas out there, but if they're not super current, be careful who you listen to and what they're telling you to do. Because if their information is old, that could be deadly, and it could sink all of the money that you have, because you put it in on faith of what this person told you. So doing your own small experiments and then expanding off of what you know is succeeding is what I've gravitated towards.
What was the springboard for you to go from your one full-time employee to bringing on the second one? Just additional responsibilities that you wanted to take that step back from?
Taking my mental energy, instead of doing orders for, you know, several hours a day, which requires a portion. Let's say you have 4 to 5 hours of actual real, like 100% brain firing creativity and ability a day. Right, you are firing on all cylinders 100%. If 2 of those hours are spent doing a repetitive task, you have 2 hours left. So by taking those extra 2 hours and going, I'm gonna think of a design and I'm gonna test it out and see what people think, and go down this road of experimenting with totally different design ideas that I didn't even think of before because I just didn't have the mental energy for it, right? And then those started hitting and the income started increasing, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy it, start buying at better margins now. Instead of making 24 t-shirts, now I'm going to make 100 t-shirts, right? Which at the time seemed like a massive jump. I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go. Me sitting on inventory.
My first t-shirt order was like 50. I'm like, I should be good for 6 to 7 years.
Yeah. And now you have inventory, and then now that you have things for people to buy, they're not coming and bouncing on the site, right? They're like, oh, he's got new stuff. And then I'm like, oh, now I have an extra 2 hours. I can go take pictures of me wearing my shirt and like, oh, it's all you and your shirt. I'm like, yeah, because I don't have money to pay a fucking model yet, right?
Yeah.
Or you ask your friends. You can only ask your friends so many times, right? And then so taking the hour, every time you free up an hour, I was very cognizant of not wasting that hour, because now I'm paying someone right now. This is costing me money for me to have this free time. I better do something good with my business, with my couple hours you have a day of real actual execution that you can really do it. Because there's times where like my creative time, my time where I do my best solid thinking, where I can just knock shit out, is in the morning. Get up, coffee, drink some water, drink some coffee, and I just get to it, and I can things just click. Things are just clicking. And then after lunchtime, I find myself, I'm like reading the same page over and over again. I don't have any new ideas, and I'm just sort of sitting there, and I'm like, it's time to go on a fucking run, or go hit the slopes, or I'm going to go to the gym right now and go work out.
Change it up.
Yeah, time to change it up. So maximizing those hours that you're going to free up, because if you're packaging orders every day, man.
Like I just said, I just launched the stickers. There are hundreds of orders that need to be fulfilled this weekend.
Printing labels, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I actually am enjoying punishing myself so I can appreciate it later. Because the guy who edits the videos for me, he's going to essentially come on full-time and handle that and be in the room to do the live cameras. Yeah. And I've already, one of the first things that I actually took a step back, I used to do every aspect of everything around the podcast. The video editing, all of that stuff. The first thing I had to get rid of was the editing, because it saved, we'll talk for a couple hours. It saved me a couple hours because I'd have to watch our conversation again, do the camera angles. Whereas this guy, he's awesome. I do jujitsu with him a block away. He rolls in and he's watching a podcast for the first time. So he's like entertained and just, oh, this guy's talking camera. And it's like, you son of a bitch.
Right.
I'm paying you, but I guess slightly entertaining you at the same time. So it'll be good. And at first, it was tough. You're like, God, what if he doesn't do the camera angle right? It's like, you know what? It's going to be okay. It's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
And it saved a substantial amount of time.
And
the day I give him the keys to that Porsche printer,
it's letting go. You have to let go of things. Like you have the death grip on whatever process you had in your business, right? Just being able to just go, all right, just let it go. You got to have faith, and if you have more faith if you hire the right people. But you hire someone you haven't worked with, you really don't fucking know.
Yeah. No, he'll be good. I've known him now for about a year. He's good. He's got a good work ethic. He's young as hell. Hates his current job, so I can leverage that against him to pay him less.
Well, see, you're gonna have more time now. You're just gonna expand even better, and so you're gonna have your.
I was thinking of napping.
Your power, like whatever your hours a day that you think you have, you are. I'm talking about really productive time.
Yeah.
And then let's say after lunch or whatever where your time is, where you can feel a 20% drop maybe, or 10% drop.
That's what the napping I was thinking
Then you
about.
go over micro naps. There is some science behind micro napping. Right?
Or you get a redneck guzzler full of coffee and you just power through the day.
And then you focus once you're done with your most productive time where you're applying towards your business, then there are going to be a lot of other repetitive tasks that you can easily do at 80 or 70% capacity, right?
Yep. And
you take care of those things, and then next day you start over again. You fire on all cylinders on your most important things while you're fresh, and it's harder to do having a hangover too. My day after, like if I get after it and I go drinking or something like that, the next day is just not as. I'm not firing. It's just not. I'm running on 70. I'm running on fumes sometimes when I'm 70%. So controlling everything in your life, not just hiring a new person, but controlling the other aspects of your life so that you can grow the business, so you can do good things with your time, it takes discipline. But if you want to make something, you gotta do it.
For sure. Yeah. I just saw that you guys came out with an app. And I was curious as to, I read the email. It sounded like, to a degree, you guys were getting censored based off the picture on a shirt. So
all the time, ever since we started. So basically, so the most popular marketing platform for e-commerce right now in the world is Facebook ads, because Facebook encompasses Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
And then behind that, it's depending on what report you read, but generally it's Google ads. TikTok's making a big play right now on ads.
My kids have that one. I haven't figured it out at all.
It's a dance party in there. It's a dance party inside that thing. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
It seems to be, honestly.
Yeah, we're on there. I got friends and employees making videos and put them on there. Yeah, it's good.
Fuck. You are really exploring the unknown. You're like basically on the captain of a Star Trek vessel.
So here's the thinking behind that, right? If you so let's say your brand is Cleared Hot.
Mm-hmm.
you want to grab the space for that brand in other spaces, even if you're not going into that brand. You want to grab that target set.
I don't know if there is a target set for Clear Tide at TikTok.
You never know. Get it. And when I say get it, I mean grab the
username?
space. Yeah.
All right.
Grab those. I would probably do that really quick.
Right. This podcast won't come out for a couple weeks, so I'll be able to grab it before.
Perfect. So you just want to grab it because it's free and it doesn't cost you anything, and now you own it. You don't want to be out there, damn it, I wish I had that, and now you're haggling with some 14-year-old kid
who does like foot videos
over the cost of how much he wants $100,000 for that name. Or
that's not happening.
You know what I'm saying? Like, grab the spaces that you think might be a possible set in the future. So basically, Facebook ads basically they're it's gotten really a lot more restrictive recently because of the Russians hacking, and Zuckerberg's over there in Congress and they're finding out like just under 50% or something of human trafficking takes place on Facebook or something like that. The number's like in the 40 percentile. It's really fucking high, I think. So they're really clamping down. So they don't have people. Like the ads that you put up, they don't have people looking at them. They have the machine looking at them and identifying markers, right? And so. And how accurate is it? I would say right now that machine is probably, saying 40% accurate might be on the high side.
Oh, so it's a pretty blunt tool.
It's very inaccurate, but also if you have a gun or a cuss word in the frame of that ad, right? Let's just say you're not selling guns. We're not a gun manufacturing company, right? But if I have a picture of a gun, it picks up on the shape of it, right? And it disables that ad, right? Or it flags it and it sends you an email. Your ad has been stopped because you're in violation of policies and procedures of Facebook that you signed when you created an ad account.
Can you at least, what would it be? Not protest that. Can you put it in for a human submission?
Yes, but if it's something that you know for sure is not going to pass muster with them, you're barking up a tree. But we have had more of our ads have like our tiger riding a lightning bolt gets flagged all the time by their machine, and I don't know why. There's not a cuss word in it, and there's no gun in it, but it just stops the ad, and so you challenge it. Right. And I have a marketing guy that does this for us. He's the guy I've been going and challenging our ads because it's scraping and pulling all these ads that you have that are saying that are a policy violation, and they're actually not. And this is happening on a big scale. This is happening to the companies that are spending millions per month on Facebook ads, and Facebook will just disable their ad account for violations. And a lot of times they're actually not in violation of anything. The machine has told the other system that it's in violation, and then it automatically turns off your account and you're disabled.
When did you start noticing this?
As soon as I started running Facebook ads.
So instantly.
Yeah. And so these brands that you see scale a lot, like the way they're scaling, the number one machine, the rocket that's scaling people, besides having good content and having a product people actually want, is intelligent advertising and finding audiences that like your stuff. And the most economical way right now to do that, besides creating viral content that's free, not free to create, free to post, is to run ads. And so we started running ads, and I kept having these ads pulled. And at first, I didn't read the policies and procedures. I'm like, just send it. Like, let's go for it, right? And so I got guys with guns running around. They're all getting taken down. I'm like, okay, let's tone down the gun thing, but not totally. Take the cuss words off. And then some would get through. Like some of the ads would just get through and go for months. And I'm like, and it makes you think it's okay. You're like, okay, well, I guess these are okay now.
Yeah, if that one went through.
I changed one thing, and then. In this year, like our ad account got totally disabled, like turned off. Like you're not advertising anymore, and because we have.
Can you challenge that?
Yeah, and we have a lot, and so because we had the word shit, and we had a couple designs that had guns in them. Right, like the Heavy Days design. I took this Banksy design, right?
But it's like abstract though.
Totally, but it sees the shape, and so it's a machine, right? Now we're in the era of the Terminator.
Yeah, we're working for the machines.
The machines are going. You are trying to market weapons. That's not allowed. Off, right? And you're like, I'm not marketing weapons, dude. This is an angel with a fucking helmet and nods on, with a gun, drinking a bottle of booze and smoking a cigarette. It's nothing to do with selling guns, but. They have you because you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, you're playing in their pool.
Other than protest. And we go, hey, can you let us back in? They're like, yeah, wait. And so getting response back has been really difficult. And so we were already going down the road of the app. This just accelerated the process. So we're like, you know what? It's time to pivot because it's just, if one thing's not working, let's figure out a way to make it work. And so we're like, okay, well, let's just put these things just in the app. So you can't come to the website and see it. You download the app and then it's there. And you can order it through the app. And so now we can have, because those products are fun and people love them, right? Like our no weak shit sticker and flag, like it's awesome. People dig it.
And everybody who downloads that app is actively seeking something that you are creating.
Totally. Yeah.
It's
totally.
not, you're not going to really get any, you're not going to need any ad traffic on an app because they're there willingly.
Yeah, they have the app. And if they're sick of the app, you just delete the app like any other app. But yeah, we did that, and it's been going really well, actually. Like, it's surprisingly well. And having launched 2 apps on iTunes before for iPad, and this is granted was back in 2011, totally different platform now, totally different world, but the idea is still the same. So I had experience doing it. But the amount of traction and the analytics so far are like really good. We've got really good reviews. It's working, and it was a good roundabout. So now we're in full compliance with Facebook ads. They turned our ad account back on. We're in full compliance so that we can advertise out there, and so that we can.
You should just advertise your app.
We can do that too, right?
Fuck you, Facebook. Totally. I'm just going to advertise people getting off your platform.
Advertising the app is in the queue.
There you go.
But yeah, so that's kind of how the app thing basically got galvanized with that sort of idea.
How long does it take to create an app? I've never gone down that route.
It depends on depends on how simple your app is, and now there's apps that create apps for you.
Of course.
Right.
Of course
and so it just depends on how involved that you want to get with it and how many features you want to get. The more features you start adding, obviously,
Price.
Developer companies love that. And they'll tell you that your app is a great idea. How did you think of this? This is such a good idea. Like, I had developers in Ireland tell me that. They're like, man, this is such a good idea back when we were developing our app. And then I was like I was kind of reading through the cloth, so to speak, when they were saying this. I'm like, they're just onboarding me, man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's smart, though, and making me feel good, telling me it was a great idea. How did you come up with this idea? It's amazing, right? You're like, yeah, it is amazing. I need you guys to develop my app. You get it. You get my genius. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Finally, somebody who understands.
Yeah, totally. And so you just got to be careful. But for e-commerce stores, there are so many apps out there that can build an app. Like the app builder that we use is called Shopney, right? And there's one called TapCart. And
so you used an app builder to build your app?
Yeah, an app to build an app, because I've built a native app I hired a programmer, moved him to a different state to sit there and jam code for.
So you
3
built
months.
the app?
I didn't build the app. I was like telling the programmer what we wanted the app to do.
No, I mean the 30 seconds out one. You use that app to build the 30 seconds out?
It's basically you drag and drop. I'm not writing any code.
But did you personally do this?
Yeah. I did. I did all the heavy dragging and dropping.
The heavy lifting.
The heavy photoshopping and making the JPEG images that fit the frame, Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, all that. So it's not hard to do. Technology's moving so fast. It's not hard to do. You don't need to hire a programmer for $50 an hour to jam code unless your product requires that. Selling products like basically off Shopify, it's not very complicated. Like you're not trying to build the next Uber app, right? Like
30 seconds out is based on Shopify, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is mine as well too.
Yeah, we're on Shopify.
Yeah, and so that app integrates with that also.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And every day you get your analytics, and you can build it, and you just it's a good way if you have a brand out there that you have content and you've been shut down on Facebook, and most brands that have been around have been shut down. Yeah. Because the algorithm is aggressive, and they've turned the volume up on it because of the heat coming down on social media, especially those guys having to go sit in front of Congress. And
well, can't the terms and conditions, isn't that one of the little small print that fucking nobody reads, that basically at any time those wicket points that you have to operate inside of, they can shift, can't they? I mean, you're playing in their pool or pissing in their pool depending on what they determine is playing or pissing, right?
Yeah. And when you're a small business, you don't have a lawyer to sit next to you to read through terms and conditions and policies and break it all down. And like, you're scrolling for like 10 seconds.
No, you're scrolling
and
as
you click
fast,
OK.
You're scrolling as fast as you can, and clicking whatever box makes the I accept button blue instead of gray, so you can move on with your life.
There are parts of that sometimes I'll stop and look at, but that's probably 2% of everything that I agree to.
Yeah.
We're all like that. Like, no, if you were to sit down and read all that stuff, like that's your job now. That's what you do.
Yeah.
You read terms and conditions.
I mean, I could physically read it. Understanding what it's saying are two very different skills.
Yeah. Well, now all your hours of the day are gone. And now you're back on napping and not growing the business.
Yeah. What was the flash to bang from when you first started creating the app until it went live?
1 week?
No
week and a half.
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah, real quick. I'll show you, like when we hop off, I'll show you exactly what we did.
Dude, I'm going to make like 2 apps. Neither of them will do shit.
Drive traffic to one, have one, drive it to one at first.
No, I'm just joking. I'm not
okay.
I have nothing. I don't know what I would do with an app.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. Is there a benefit from that? Because podcasting, right? So it hosts on, I use a service called Libsyn to host the raw file, which then the RSS feed is scraped by all the other services. Apple Podcasts grabs from it, and then YouTube. I mean, I guess I'm beholden to those platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
So it's more ownership of something you own, right? Like, let's say you have a business, you own your email list, right? You own that. You have it. You have your email address to people that have signed up on your website or whatever, or maybe physically signed up if you're a retail outlet or whatever. And so you own that. You kind of own the app. Even though it's Apple. Apple ultimately owns it, and they can delist you anytime they want. But it's another level of ownership below, let's say, an email list, right? You don't have as much control. Facebook, you definitely have the least control, but it's the most bang for your buck for advertising. The slippery slope with not having, like, we were talking with our team about this when the Facebook thing disabled. It basically dropped, I think, right out of the gates 20% of our revenue, which wasn't terrible.
Yeah, that's a big number, though.
There are brands that it's the other way around, where their whole thing is Facebook ads. And if Facebook disables them, even they haven't done anything wrong, the machine has said, you violated policies. And they're like, I didn't violate policies. It's taken sometimes months for them to get back online. And by then, their business is done.
Yeah, you better have a fat bank account to cover all that.
Yeah, you need runway. If you don't have runway meaning you have money in the bank to carry you, your employees, your ideas, and your business forward until you make the next batch of money, right? If you don't have runway, you're leaning heavy on Facebook ads, be very fucking careful. So what we've decided going forward, now that our Facebook account is turned back on, we have a point of contact that we can call there. Ultimately, we have very little control over that. The machines are still scanning. They're just Terminators out there shutting businesses down, right?
Yeah.
Building, and this is just good business advice that we learned kind of the hard way, but also just enough to where I'm glad that we did learn this lesson. Build the stools of your table. Like, you want a lot of legs under the table. If you're sitting on one Facebook leg, and let's say you're making $1 million a month on Facebook ads, and the algorithm doesn't like you anymore, now you're making $0 a month. Build those legs up. The email list is one leg. Having your app so people have it on their phone, they can still get to your stuff, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they can get to the hidden stuff that we have now, right? We have our hidden content on the app.
How are they supposed to see it if you hide it even?
You tell them in podcasts. You talk about it in podcasts.
I was gonna say, it's like, we made this awesome shit, but it's hidden, so you guys can't see it.
And then we started a Facebook group. Just like a couple days ago, I started a Facebook group. 30 Seconds Out Facebook group. We're going to have like an event. We're going to do a Moab and just sort of
sweet
building a community that isn't just relying on, just pumping ads in front of people's face that can be turned off at any minute. So moving forward, like what we decided, Tamara and I talking about this with our team was, hey, let's as the brand builds, as the brand scales, let's look at what we're scaling off of. If we're scaling off of something as fickle but as effective as Facebook ads, that's bad. So we're looking at more as the ad revenue that we bring in from Facebook now is more of a bonus than it is a critical leg in keeping the business afloat. And I may change my idea on that, but having gone through that experience where like that, you drop in 20% of your revenue's gone in a day, just stops. It hits hard and you're like, fuck, man. And it's one of those entrepreneur low moments where you're like, I got to figure this out. And there's got to be a lesson learned there. And you just pull together as a team, you start sharing ideas, and you come up with a new strategy and a new plan to keep moving forward, right? And to keep making cool shit for the people that like your shit.
How big do you think you can make it?
Pretty big. Yeah, cause we had a lot of customers in Europe, and so we opened 2 distribution centers, one in Hereford, UK, and one in Montbry, Germany, just south of Frankfurt. And so we have
help you the taxes, the VAT.
Yeah, so it's basically so customers there that were ordering a fair amount of stuff from us, like in Germany and Norway and the UK and Finland. They can now order it and they can pay €3 to get it shipped to them as opposed to €20. It sits in customs for a month, and then they got to answer questions to the customs agent depending on which customs agent they get that day.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing's been sitting there, and then their whole customer experience is fucking garbage. And so I just connected with some good people over there, HR4K over in Hereford. And then S4 Supply, which is another unrelated companies in Germany. And I said, hey, let's talk about distributing business to consumer. We guys look into that. And so we started chatting it up. We figured out how to do it. And now we're getting shirts printed in the UK that are shipping to people in the UK.
No shit.
Yeah. And then in Germany, we're right now in the process of looking for a good printer. Right now we're using Industry Threadworks.
I was going to say, you're working with Ryan, right?
Yeah. Ryan does all our shirts. His company does all our shirts, Industry Threadworks out of San Diego for the US and also for Europe.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, just because they do such a great job, and their capacity to scale is there. Because you can run into print shops that have one octopus or two, meaning the print machines. And if you scale, you can outgrow that company. Well, if we ever outgrow them, I would be super shocked.
Didn't they move to Texas?
They tested the waters over there,
and old Tejas.
Yeah, they tested the waters in Austin, I believe, and then they ended up coming back to San Diego because I think their connections in San Diego and the environment was more conducive for where they wanted to take their brand and how they wanted to build it. But where do I think 30 Seconds Out can go? I think it can be really, really. I can be a multi-million-dollar a year company, like in the tens of millions.
We still need to do that collaboration on a T-shirt, which I think I dropped the ball on. We were texting back and forth, and then I probably was like,
I do that all the time. You just get brain saturation. You forget. You're like, I feel like at any given week, I need to apologize to 5 people for not getting back to them or not finding how they're communicating with you. Because people will hit you up on so many different avenues now, right? And if you want to get a hold of me, just send me an email. That's the best way. Because I generally don't answer my phone because of now all the robocalls.
Oh, if I don't recognize the number, it's straight
it's out
to
of
delete.
Control. I just can't. We can't keep up with it anymore. I think we're all getting that. It's out of control.
Okay, here's the $1 million T-shirt idea. Potentially, we could put an S on the millions. It's a rooster. The scene opens with a rooster, and it's surrounded by different sporting equipment balls. It's Cock and Balls by Cleared Hot.
Done.
We won't say Cock and Balls anywhere, but people can figure, what is that rooster doing with all those balls? Or maybe he's holding a basketball with his foot up on a bowling ball or something, and just Cleared Hot somewhere on there, maybe on the back neck.
Yeah. No, that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Cock and Balls.
Yeah.
I'm going to get it somewhere.
I can see it.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, totally.
I'm thinking 30 to 50 million in sales.
Sure. Over which timeline? Over a 10-year time frame or a 20-year?
I was thinking a couple months is what I was hoping for. Really just get that coffee shop up and running.
To the moon. Diamond hands to the moon.
Diamond hands. I didn't hear that term until 3 months ago, and I had to fucking ask somebody what it was.
I did too. I had to look it up. What's this diamond hands to the moon stonks? Yeah, the whole GameStop thing was so funny. I actually signed up on Reddit just so I could read what was going on that.
Was it just madness?
Yeah, it's hilarious. I mean, it's a circus.
Yeah.
It's a full gambling circus. And some guys are they're posting, I don't think they're photoshopping. They were posting some amazing gains off the game stocks.
A lot of commas.
Yeah. And some guys were posting, we're calling it loss porn, loss porn. I've lost $350,000 so far and I'm not selling diamond hands to the moon. I'm like, damn.
I am not comfortable with dollar figures that size.
Riding those swings.
A fluctuation. Yeah. I am not. I could go on target with you any day. I am not too old to ride those fucking swings in the financial market, man.
Yeah,
that's a different kind of fucking stress inoculation.
Oh, yeah. You know what that spurred me to do? After reading that, I'm like, this whole thing, everything, it seems like everything just in general is turning into a shit show because everyone has a platform. And because everyone has a platform, it's hard to figure out who actually is worth listening to and who should not have a platform, right?
Yeah.
But we have free speech. Everyone can post things, right? So the weeding through the thicket is getting harder.
I had a solution to this, but it'll never be approved. You get an IQ test done, and then your internet speed is commensurate with your IQ. So if you're a dum-dum, you get dial-up. But if you're Elon Musk, you get Cat 5 cable in your fucking bedroom.
Right. I mean, there's being able to weed through it in of itself is a good skill set. Like,
True.
so the latest book I just got was the Berkshire Hathaway University is a guy who wrote a book that he takes 30 years every year. Berkshire Hathaway, like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, investment. They are investment.
They do okay
yeah.
with money.
They basically have, they have their shareholders meeting every year. And if you're a shareholder, you can go to the meeting and they'll sit up there and answer questions. And they have a time limit, but kind of not. Like they'll sit up there for all day and answer people's questions. And so this is 30 years of the author and his assistant or whatever's, their opinion on the best questions and answers over 30 years of Berkshire Hathaway and what was going on with these investors. Because I'm like, this game stonk thing, I'm like, what are the actual real guys doing? These guys are like, it's a cartoon, literally. It's like a cartoon shit show. I'm like, what are the real motherfuckers doing? And so that's what the book I'm going through right now is to learn how these guys think. And it's not what I thought it was. Like these guys, it's not some super complex thing. And I know that they have done some investment things that that are pretty complex, but they're general. You put your hands around something tangible and get in the room with the people that know what they're talking about and try to avoid the rooms with the bullshit flying around the sky like it's poltergeist. It's
like I said, I'm not too old for that shit.
Yeah.
How many audiobooks do you think you go through a year?
Probably. She's like, you bought another bunch of audiobooks?
Damn it, I asked that question at the wrong time. We have to have her step out.
Yeah, I would say between like 15 and 20.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say that per month, like you'd gone full Goodwill Hunting on them.
You think?
Yeah,
okay, maybe more.
You're getting a little bit of what we call side-eye.
But being slow, right? I'll literally listening to some of the books. I have to listen to it for like 30 minutes and then stop and think about it for a day. And then maybe go back and be like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Dude, I'm that way with books. If I'm really trying to learn something new in a book, I'm like sometimes a page or two at a time, and then I have to stop, think about it, go back, read it again. Yeah, I'm on the short bus with that one for sure.
That was I think doing diligently starting to re-educate myself after coming out of the military because I knew a lot about one thing.
Yeah,
like we knew a lot about.
You can blow a door off a hinge like a motherfucker.
Crazy kicking doors in, right? And I'm like, I need to learn about what all these other people are doing out here because so that was part of the. I think it's actually a really good process to go through when you leave anything that you were really good at for once is like, okay, what is everyone else doing? What do they know?
Yeah.
And then you start realizing like, oh. And then immediately the more you do it, your ego just goes, it does deflate your ego because you're reading about what these amazing business people started or how they thought through things or how they analyze people. Like in that book right now that I'm reading, the University of Berkshire Hathaway, they talk a lot about human behavior because that is ultimately what drives markets, right?
Well, think about what you were talking about, the clown show with the poltergeist shit show around the what are they, the meme stocks?
Meme stocks, yeah.
That is exactly, from my understanding, the human behavior on display when it comes to money. Excitement, like loss porn, like all that stuff. They're like charging each other up and like it's going to the roof, then down. And it's like that's right. All human behavior based. From my understanding, not a lot of the value with those particular stocks is actually value based. It's all emotionally based. Yeah. It's just human beings stirring the pot with other human beings.
Yeah.
Which I kind of support. But I don't know what that says about me as a person. When are you two pulling the old trigger on the wedding?
Yeah, September this year. We're getting married in Idaho.
What day?
Yep, September 19th.
Okay.
It's a Sunday.
I was wondering if you were going to try to hijack the 11th and be like, rude.
Bro, no. Line crossed right there.
Speaking of, as the third line, we won't cross.
No. But getting married in September 19th and, up in the big Alpine Lake. It's all, we live up in the mountains in Idaho. Like some people think Idaho, it's potatoes. We live at our house is at 6,000 feet.
Portions of Idaho are in fact potatoes.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah.
People forget that most of Montana, like that valley, the valley that we're in, that eastern border of those mountains.
Go east.
Yeah, go east of there. And you're going to wonder where the Dakotas begin and where Montana ends. It is pancake.
Yeah.
Except for a certain few areas.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, everybody thinks that all of Montana is the western edge of the Rockies.
Yeah.
Well, this portion is, and not the other.
Yeah.
You guys think you'll stay in Sun Valley?
No.
Really?
Yeah, no, we're going to move to Ridgeway, Colorado. We bought a lot there.
Ridgeway?
Yeah,
where is this?
It's between Telluride and Ouray.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, think like it's Western Slope. Think like Denver side, that's
Yep.
eastern slope. Other side of the Rockies.
Yep.
Get on I-70, drive past all the ski resorts. Boom, you pop out on the western slope, and now you're in the Carbondale-ish, Grand Junction, Ouray, Ridgeway, Telluride kind of side of the mountain, which is currently the much less busy side than the Denver to Fort Collins corridor.
Are you going to move the business there?
No plans to move the business there right now.
Oh, you're taking a next step back.
Yeah.
Geographic isolation.
Yeah.
What's the population of this town? Like 6? It'll be like 8 when you guys show up?
It's not. It's smaller than where we live now in Sun Valley. Yeah, it's a little smaller, but it's also a more affordable place. It still has all like the similar recreational things. Like there's a lot of skiing and climbing and just being outside there, which is what we love to do, right? We love to be outside and do that. We might also do an RV thing. We were talking about getting an RV and driving around for a year in an RV and just seeing like friends and family, and probably even some of our customers that we've actually become friends with over the years, and just stopping and just hanging out with them. You know what I mean? And getting to like meet people in person, like going analog, like face-to-face shit, like.
Do you mean that we're not best friends because we're Facebook friends?
Right.
That our connection may potentially not be super deep?
Yeah.
All of that actually sounds like a good idea. What was it that got you to make the decision to leave Sun Valley?
It's an expensive place. It's an expensive place.
Tourist town for sure.
Yeah, it's an expensive place to live there. And also, besides like being a business investor, right? I've always sort of invested in real estate on a very low level by doing owner occupied. I buy a house, live in it, right? Then rent it out, move to the next house, live in it for 2 years, so you have to pay capital gains when you sell it, right? Looking for kind of an up and coming place where we can get more bang for our buck and more exposure to kind of what my side passions are aside from business. Like I love climbing, I love being in the mountains, and I love skiing, and I have some friends out there and some people that I want to learn from, and people that I want to be around there that can do things that I can't yet do in the mountains, and I want to learn from people like that and be around people like that, because that's how we get better. You want to be around people that can do that. And Sun Valley is an amazing place. It really is. It's just really expensive, man. And it's getting to become like a little Aspen there. I mean, there's actors there and stuff. The people with money, and pro sports players.
But it's probably like their 5th or 6th or 17th house as opposed to their primary residence.
Yeah. And I don't really super identify with those people. They're just they have.
I can appreciate what they do, but it also doesn't make sense to me. That one's like right over the top of my head.
Yeah, and I've been to a couple, cocktail parties here and there, like before, and getting to talk to them, I just know that I'm a different animal. I'm a different person than they are, and so you kind of go try to find your tribe, right? And you go to a place where you can kind of find the people that are doing what you would like to be doing. And kind of in a way it's sort of like the putting yourself into a position where you're the dumbest person in the room, which is really hard to do.
That's super easy for me.
Getting kicked
every
in the
fucking room
nuts.
I go into, I'm the dumbest person in there.
Exactly right. But the feeling you just got to go back there. We've talked about that before. I think as being a new guy and learning from people again, and you don't need to raise your hand every fucking day and say, hey, I was to be a commando and did awesome stuff. Like, who gives a fuck, man? Move on.
Agreed.
Yeah, move on.
Agreed. How's your body holding up after the old mileage you put on it? Because you're talking about moving to a place for more outdoor activity. One of the things I love the most about being up here is I really enjoy the 4 seasons because there's shit to do.
Yeah.
I'm loving boarding. I've been linked in with some good friends who have a good understanding of the backcountry, which fucking terrifies me for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Especially given my snowpack knowledge is 0.
Yeah.
So I really need somebody out there who knows what they're doing, because I'll be like, this looks great. And they're like, no, that's actually not great at all. You'll die if you do that. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just going to go where you go. There's the lake, down south. Not that I have any interest in going on watercraft ever again, but I understand why people do. There's the mountain, like hunting, all sorts of cool shit.
Yeah.
But some days are tougher to get out of the old bed than others.
Yeah. You're looking like you're in good shape, dude. You really are. I thought that actually when we were walking up the sidewalk, and
steroids, bro. And HGH.
Yeah, totally.
I'm just joking. I wish.
I'll toot your horn. Like, I was like, damn, he's looking in good shape. Because sometimes you'll see guys that when you were doing your thing with, and everybody was in good shape because you were all doing the thing, and everyone was.
And then they ate
it.
their skinnier self.
And you're like, oh man, that's. And I felt myself going down that road. Just kind of not giving a fucking drink. And so I think being 47, body is definitely has aches and pains.
Well, you fucked yourself up on more than one occasion.
Yeah,
so.
totally. Yeah. And I've tweaked things here and there.
A little Humpty Dumpty, if we will.
Yeah.
Put them back together
Yeah.
again.
Totally. And I've had a couple surgeries here and there.
That's what I'm saying.
No, since I got out.
I don't doubt that.
Yeah, because if you want to do things that carry an inherent risk in them, right? You're gonna. I call it paying the toll, man.
Yeah.
You can do these things. It's real fun to be on the highway going fast, and you're like, we're crushing it. We're gonna get there like in no time, and then pretty soon you're like, oh, pulls up, toll man taps you on the shoulder, and he's like, time to pay up, fucker, and you're like, God damn it.
Let's pop the hood and see how things are wearing.
So you got to pay, right? You pay a toll man, get your surgery, do your rehab, and then just get back after it, But I think there's the thing to do is control your diet, control your eating, control how you discipline your day, which I am absolutely fucking terrible at. But when I look back at what I was doing 4 years ago or 5 years ago, I'm like, oh, I'm doing way better than I am now. Like my body,
and that's the important metric.
my body fat's lower than it was. I feel better. I'm faster. I've been measuring my time on, let's say, this trail run loop thing I do for my house, or like a certain level of difficulty of a climb. So I'm like, oh, I am making progress. But while you're in it, while you're in the machine, you don't really see the progress until you can look back. And that's why it's important to write shit down, right? I use this app, Training Peaks. I'll even write shit in there that has nothing to do with the actual metrics that the thing is saying. I just want to remember this, right? Because if I write it down on papers, I lose the notebooks all the time.
Yeah.
I got notebooks all over my house with shit in them.
I do too, and I have a fun game I play with myself called "Where the fuck is the notebook that I need?"
Right, totally. It's right
worst.
here. This is it.
But here's the problem. I also play a game with myself called "Where's the fuck my phone?" sometimes, and it's like, yeah. Well, dude, I'm stoked for you, man. You're killing it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
thanks.
I'm gonna get you guys out of here and let you enjoy a little bit of Montana.
Yeah, it was good seeing you again, brother. You're doing
for
awesome.
sure, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm doing awesome.
You're doing
I'm still
awesome.
alive, figuring it out.
Yeah.
I used to have, I don't know where my sticker went. I had expect to self-rescue, which is like my favorite phrase ever. And I wish more people would adopt it as an actual mentality.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Instead of thinking that there's always 911 on the other end of the call.
Yep.
But best place for people to find you.
Go to 30secondsout.com. And
God damn it, this was your chance to pimp the fucking app.
You can go to the App Store and type in 30 Seconds Out. We're on there too. And you can message us directly in the app. There's a little app, little bubble icon pops up. You can send us a message and you'll get a response, because we got 3 of us now that are doing that and paying attention to all the different channels that we're opening up for people to talk to us, and it's starting to become a lot. And a lot of people are reaching out, so
that's a good thing though. But that's also can be a part-time job.
No, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Do you still you're still on IG and all that good stuff? The company is at least 30 seconds.
Yeah, the company is. I'm not on there, my personal one, but the Facebook group. The 30 Seconds Out Facebook group we just started.
Yep.
And so we started a Facebook group. There's 10 trillion Facebook groups. But we had enough people asking about it, enough people that want a place where we can all kind of shoot the shit.
Yeah, it's fair.
And then, you go in there, and it's a private group, and so we'll let the right people in. Because you got to monitor trolls a little bit, because there's a lot of dipshits out there. And, but yeah.
Closing thoughts by Sean Evangelista. Let's close with your thoughts. Advice for people getting ready to get out.
Identify your lines. If you have questions where your lines are at, talk to your friends, talk to your peers, and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing. What do you think about that? And I've done that, and I've gotten really good feedback. Hey, you're in the green. You're okay right here.
Yep.
Yeah, you're doing right here. This is okay. And so don't isolate into your brain and go, okay, I'm going to try this, because it's harder to see the lines when you don't have input and you don't ask people that are in your community, because you're part of their community. If you're coming out, they're part of that story too. And identify something and look at opportunities that you can take, that you'll look back on your deathbed and say, I'm glad I took that opportunity, and I'm glad that I went down that road. And don't take opportunities that you're going to regret later, even though it's really tempting, because maybe there's a stack of cash on the table and it's really tempting.
So you can burn through that shit real quick.
Yeah. Yep.
Does 30 Seconds Out have an OnlyFans page?
What's OnlyFans?
I'm just going to leave you with that thought. You can figure it out.
There's another platform.
I don't actually know what OnlyFans is, even though I hear people talking about getting paid to take pictures of their feet. It's like some kinky shit, I believe. It's basically you go on there and you do stuff for money.
No, then they're going to get my IP address and I think I'm human trafficking.
I'm just saying, don't close this down without doing the appropriate amount of research.
Okay.
All right?
Well,
I hear
won't.
people talking about making
I'm on
money
it.
on it.
I'll
And
go.
I want you to be a billionaire. So
Okay.
might be some feet pics, though.
That's probably you.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right, brother.
On the west bank of the river. That's A-firm, west bank. It gives me hell. Still give it to me in the grove. Okay, one's in from the north. I've got the west bank of the river. Two's going to give it to you in the grove. Roger. Give me that gun run. Right along that bag, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thanks for taking the time to tune in, whether you're listening on an audio-only platform or you're watching on YouTube. I appreciate that you take the time every week to tune in. People ask me a lot, what can they do to help me spread the word? And the answer is actually embedded in the question. The biggest thing you guys can do to help me, if you enjoy the podcast and you think it would be helpful to others, is subscribe and share it with other people. And if you have the time, go on to Apple Podcasts and leave me a rating and a review. If you think the podcast sucks, tell me it sucks and leave a 0-star review or the lowest stars possible. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion, you can go to clearedhotpodcast.com. And there is a contact me button right there, which will land in my inbox. And the last thing, if people are interested in helping out, what you can do is fly the old flag. And by that, I don't mean an actual flag, because I don't have any of those. I'm talking about t-shirts or sweatshirts or hats, whatever it may be. Again, clearedhotpodcast.com. Click on the shop tab, and hopefully something in there looks like it would be an item you would like to wear around town. And then you could tell people what it is when they ask you. But that is it. The biggest thing I can say is thank you. I truly appreciate it. And until next time, see you.